Chapter 974, The End of the Secret Realm, Come to Heavenly Sword Sect Within 10 Years. Chapter 974, Chapter 348, The End of the Secret Realm, Come to Heavenly Sword Sect Within 10 Years. Yu Jinjinren, other true immortals, Tian Yuan bids farewell. After speaking a few words with Lu Qingshan, Tian Yuan true immortal bowed to Yu Jinjinren and the others. He then placed Lu Qingshan on his gourd, transformed into a divine rainbow, and skyrocketed into the 9 heavens gang wind. Damn it, who exactly is it? At this moment, on the huge divine vessel pulled by the 9-headed wind thunder steed, the elder ancestor of the Su family watched the cultivators continuously emerging from the secret realm, his expression gloomy and ugly. Since all the soul plates in his family's storage bags had shattered and his own descendants had all died in the secret realm, he had been observing the 4 great immortal sects and other major nascent soul family forces. But through his observation, he noticed that although other families had suffered casualties, they were not severe and were similar to previous years. This puzzled him greatly. He didn't know who had killed his family's descendants. It should be noted that the descendants of their beast-taming Su family were always accompanied by spiritual beasts, had combat power far superior to others of their level, and were not much worse than the disciples of the immortal sects. Thus, regardless of which power made a move against his family, a fight to the death on both sides would inevitably result in significant losses. Yet among these top-tier powers, the spirit-taming sect, which suffered the most, had only 7 deaths. The spirit-taming sect and my Su family have always had good relations. Even if they are reluctant to see my Su family rise, they would definitely not be the first to strike against us. Patriarch Su pondered in his heart, dismissing the possibilities one by one. Patriarch Su, how come I haven't seen any of your family's disciples? Could they all have perished in this secret realm? At that moment, the family patriarch from the Shangguan family looked at Patriarch Su and jokingly said. However, as much as he spoke in jest, he was quite surprised to see that not a single descendant of the Su family had emerged from the secret realm. Because among these top-tier powers, such a situation had not occurred for many years. Humph. Patriarch Zu's face darkened as he snorted coldly and remained silent. Seeing this, the false core patriarch of the Shangguan family immediately stopped teasing. After all, if the descendants of the Su family had truly all died in the secret realm, a few provocative words might actually provoke Patriarch Su into a fight. And if they started fighting, he was really no match for Patriarch Su. Could it be that it wasn't the immortal sect forces who acted? Was it simply danger within the secret realm itself? Patriarch Su frowned deeply, pondering in his heart, feeling that this was the only explanation. But he himself didn't believe in this explanation. Because the Purple Shadow secret realm, having been open for nearly 1,000 years, was now used as a training ground, and there was supposedly nothing particularly dangerous left inside. Could it be loose cultivators? A ridiculous thought crossed Patriarch Zu's mind. He immediately shook his head, dismissing the idea. After all, how could a loose cultivator possibly have the ability to kill off all his family's descendants? Damn it. Sir, the novel fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Patriarch Su felt irritable and annoyed, then out of sight, out of mind, he rode away on the 9-headed wind thunder steed. At the same time, Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjun emerged from the secret realm. The two queued up to hand over the spiritual medicine. With the smell spirit beast present, no one dared to secretly keep any spiritual medicine. Everyone adhered to the rules. If anyone was found to be hiding rare spiritual medicine, they wouldn't be executed on the spot as a warning, but they would be reduced to mining slaves. So much? 2 loose cultivators actually had such a harvest. The supervising disciple from the Wuxia sect was somewhat surprised and puzzled when he saw the pile of spiritual medicine. Although Lu Chuanjun had given most of the spiritual medicine to Lu Qingshan. But the remaining spiritual medicine was still considered exceptional among loose cultivators. However, they didn't say much about this. After collecting half and checking that there was no must-trade spiritual medicine, they let the 2 men go. Father. Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjun approached Lu Chongsheng. Although his 2 sons had changed their appearances with disguise and camouflage, Lu Changxing still recognized them at a glance. He patted their shoulders, smiling and said, "It seems that you both had a good harvest this trip." "Indeed, not bad," Lu Qianzhen said with a smile. "All right, let's talk about the details of the harvest when we get back." Lu Changxing spoke, taking out a spirit boat from the storage ring. The palm-sized spirit boat surged with green light and instantly transformed into a small boat more than a yard long, taking his two sons back with him. As for Lu Qingshan, he had just spotted him returning with Tianyuan True Immortal. And he had also seen that Lu Qingshan had apparently said something to the True Immortal of the Heavenly Sword sect, as he didn't hand over any spiritual medicine. He couldn't help but marvel internally at the power the nascent soul immortal had personally delivered him, earning some respect even from the four great immortal sects. Just as Lu Changxing was piloting the spirit boat, taking his two sons home, Patriarch Su felt more and more aggrieved, feeling utterly humiliated. And to return in such a manner without any explanation. Wait a minute, at that moment, Patriarch Su remembered that on his trip here, he had bestowed a spiritual artifact, the Black Dragon Shears. This Black Dragon Shears was forged from his early years of slaying a Black Jiao, forming an entire set of spiritual artifacts. Although this set had already been bestowed one by one, he still had the Black Jiao demon core refined into a Black Jiao bead left in his hands. As long as the Black Dragon Shears were not far from him, and not lost within the Purple Shadow secret realm, he could sense their location through the Black Jiao bead. If it's in the hands of an immortal sect disciple, I could just claim the spiritual artifact back. Patriarch Zu's eyes gleamed, murmuring to himself. At this point, he didn't care about losing face anymore. Because this incident had already caused him to lose face completely. Soon, when this matter would spread, even the other families would ridicule his beast-taming Su family. Thus, this matter must be resolved. Patriarch Su held a fist-sized, pitch-black treasure bead in his hand. He made a gesture incantation with his hands on the Black Jiao bead and then spat a mouthful of essence blood on it, attempting to sense the location of the Black Dragon Shears. Patriarch Zu's eyes emitted a sharp light as he looked towards the southwest direction. He not only sensed the location of the Black Dragon Shears, but also noticed that they were moving rapidly. Isn't it the four great immortal sects? Then, who is it? Patriarch Zu's expression turned cold. Immediately, he rode the nine-headed wind-thunder steed as swiftly as lightning, rolling towards the direction where the Black Dragon Shears were located. Source: Web Novel. Com, updated on Novlove. Com. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 975, False Core Immortal, Nothing Special. Chapter 975, Chapter 349, False Core Immortal, Nothing Special. A spirit boat emanating an azure radiance passed through Xian Gorge. Atop the spirit boat, Lu Changxing, clad in a mystic robe, stood tall and slender as he listened to his son, Lu Qianzhen, recount the journey through the secret realm. He knew not only had Lu Pingan gained a promotion, but Lu Qianzhen also reaped no small rewards. With a now far more solid foundation, he could return and consolidate his gains, preparing to tackle Foundation establishment. Qianzhen, did you encounter monks from the Jin family? Lu Changxing asked aloud. He had seen Foundation establishment cultivators from Golden Dragon Ridge leave in a huff and knew that all 6 Jin family members had perished in the secret realm, suspecting his sons were involved. This wasn't our doing, brother and I. Lu Qingshan was the one who encountered the Jin family, Lu Qianzhen said. They had discussed it with Lu Qingshan earlier and learned of the Jin family's misfortune. Thinking to himself that the Jin family was indeed unlucky. Otherwise, he and Lu Pingan might not have run into the Jin family's monks at all. Qingshan. Lu Changsheng's brow rose in surprise, not expecting that it was his son, Lu Qingshan, who had single-handedly slain the monks from the Jin family. It seemed Lu Qingshan's abilities exceeded what he had known. After all, repelling 6 people and killing 6 people were not the same concept. Father, I reckon it won't be long before people come to know of Qingshan's deeds, and the Jin family might connect this to our family. Lu Qianzhen looked towards Lu Changsheng and said. Lu Qingshan's actions had been highly conspicuous, leading Lu Qianzhen to realize that sooner or later, his younger brother's information would gradually come to the knowledge of other family forces, and they would remember. If the Jin family learned that Lu Qingshan was a son of the Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, they would surely suspect and speculate on this matter. Yet what truly worried him was not this. Another Lu Qingshan had now emerged in the family. If, in a few years, Lu Pingan came into his own, then Lu Wangshu, or perhaps some younger siblings he didn't yet know about, began to rise, it was likely his family would entirely enter the public eye, attracting a lot of trouble. Because no power would willingly watch a family with several geniuses exist. Such a family, once allowed to grow and rise, would be truly terrifying. What could the Jin family possibly do even if they find out? Lu Changsheng said unconcernedly. He had instructed his sons to act thus without fear of how the Jin family might respond. Already, the two families had been tripping each other up behind the scenes, just never bringing the struggle out into the open. Even if the Jin family came to know, they could only swallow their frustration. As father and son conversed, Lu Changsheng suddenly felt a dreadful spiritual pressure approaching. His brows knitted together, and he looked suddenly to the side. Father, what's wrong? Lu Qianzhen, seeing his father's expression, looked in the same direction. But he saw nothing. However, shortly after a few breaths, he saw a rolling, surging mist up ahead, accompanied by the sounds of thundering wind. As the commotion within the mist grew louder, Lu Quanzhen's complexion drastically changed. Damn, that's the beast-taming Su family. Earlier, outside the secret realm, Lu Qianzhen had seen the commotion of several nascent soul-level family forces arriving. Among them, the beast-taming Su family made quite a spectacle, a divine vessel pulled by 9 second-rank wind thunder steeds, traversing with thunderous momentum and overwhelming the skies, a truly formidable display. The commotion from afar was exactly like when the Su family had arrived at Purple Shadow's secret realm. Thus, Lu Qianzhen instantly realized that this was most likely the beast-taming Su family coming to cause trouble for them. Why would the beast-taming Su family come after us when I've destroyed every token, keepsake, and anything suspicious from the Su family's storage bags, throwing them off a cliff? And I've even used a second-rank purification talisman to inspect my whole body and found no trace of any marks. Lu Qianzhen was inwardly alarmed, utterly at a loss as to why the elder ancestor of the Su family would track them down. But in this moment, there was no time left to ponder. The approaching figure of the elder ancestor of the Su family was drawing ever nearer. Pulled by the galloping 9-headed wind thunder steeds, a tsunami-like, terrifying spiritual pressure rolled in, churning mightily, making the air seem heavy and hard to breathe. Father, my brother and I have slain all of the beast-taming Su family's disciples in the Purple Shadow secret realm. This commotion is most likely from the beast-taming Su family. The family patriarch must be coming after us. Lu Qianzhen had an ugly look on his face as he conveyed this through a transmission to his father. Under such circumstances, he naturally did not dare to hide anything from his father. Lu Pingan, too, watching the cloud-engulfed and thunderous 9-headed wind thunder steeds charge towards them, had a grave expression. He hadn't expected that they would attract the wrath of the false core patriarch of the beast-taming Su family. Slain all of the beast-taming Su family's disciples. Lu Changsheng was taken aback when he heard this. He thought to himself, what a wild turn of events. He had been wondering why this family patriarch from the Su family was rushing toward them with such a menacing air. So it turned out that the Su family's cultivators were all wiped out by his own sons, and now revenge was at hand. Father, this family patriarch from the Su family must have used some method to track down my brother and me, but you should be able to escape using talismans. Several talismans appeared from Lu Quanzhen's sleeves as he spoke urgently. Although rumors suggested that his father could slay false core immortals with talisman formations, he knew those were messages spread by Golden Dragon Ridge, deliberately glorifying their family. Therefore, facing the elder ancestor of the Su family, he had not the slightest thought of resistance. His first reaction was to scatter and escape with the use of talismans provided by Lu Changsheng. Only in this way, there was a chance that all three of them would not die here. He felt a pang of regret that Auntie Lu Miaoga wasn't here. Otherwise, his father and aunt working together might be able to contend with the elder ancestor of the Su family. CTH novel, F. Ire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Novlove. Com. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 976, False Core Immortal, just that. Chapter 976, Chapter 349, False Core Immortal, just that. Father. Lu Pingan's talisman also appeared in his hand, his face set in a resolute expression as if ready to face death. Hee, it's okay, leave it to your father to handle. Lu Changsheng looked at the expressions of his two sons, smiled, and patted their shoulders, signaling them to be calm. This time, the elder ancestor of the Su family's attack should serve as a lesson for his sons. He wanted them to understand that there are always greater powers and more skilled individuals in the world. Facing high-rank cultivators, especially those from powerful clans, one must be extremely cautious and careful. Moreover, his two sons were now grown up and on the verge of attaining foundation establishment, so it was time they learned some of the family's secrets. He handed the control of the spirit boat over to Lu Chuanjin. Then he looked at the nine-headed wind thunder steeds and the elder ancestor of the Su family charging fiercely towards him, took a step forward, and stepped off the spirit boat to meet them. Father. Lu Quanzhen's expression conveyed great shock as he cried out, thinking that Lu Changsheng was trying to buy time for the two of them. Chuanjin, believe in father. Lu Pingan pressed down on his shoulder, speaking in a deep voice. He had immense trust in his own father. Believing that if his father dared to do so, he must certainly have confidence. How bold of you, seeking death. Standing on the majestic divine vessel, the elder ancestor of the Su family saw Lu Changsheng standing in the void with a stern face and a composed aura, clad in a mystic robe, and immediately glared with anger, directing the wind thunder steed to charge straight at him. This nine-headed wind thunder steed was not just any beast bred by the Su family for pulling carts. It was a beast he had carefully raised, capable of tremendous battle power, used for travel, and each of them was incredibly strong. The leader of the beasts had been with him for hundreds of years, possessing the strength of a second-rank late stage. With such a charge, even a cultivator at the peak of foundation establishment would be directly killed. Roar, roar, roar. The nine-headed wind thunder steed immediately let out unison roars, surrounded by swirling winds and thunder, like a mighty army charging forward, carrying a sky full of wild wind and thunder, crushing through the heavens, and charging straight towards Lu Changsheng. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Just then, a clear sword whistling sounded throughout the heavens and the earth. Suddenly, a giant sword, tens of meters long and shimmering with the light of the seven colors, appeared above Lu Changsheng's head, bursting with endless fierce sword chi, threatening to obliterate everything as it slashed down ferociously. Boom, boom, boom. The violent storm of wind and thunder collided with the overwhelming giant sword descending from the sky, instantly creating an earth-shattering explosion. Bright mana light tore through the skies, and the waves of power from the battle's epicenter spread like raging seas, sweeping in all directions and stirring up huge waves. Such residual waves caused the nearby spirit boat, with Lu Chuanjin and Lu Pingan aboard, to rock like a leaf in a tempest, nearly overturned and swallowed by the giant wave. Fortunately, a majestic and gentle breeze of mana came forth, dispelling the waves of power. What? Father's strength? Lu Chuanjin and Lu Pingan, witnessing this scene, were shocked and looked at each other in dismay, their eyes filled with disbelief. They had never expected their father to be so powerful. Especially Lu Chuanjin. He had always known that his father concealed his true strength and was not as simple as he seemed. But this was way beyond what had imagined. He could actually face off against a false core immortal head-on. Could it be that during the battle on White Tiger Mountain, when he faced the great elder of the Jin family from Golden Dragon Ridge, was he merely toying with his opponent? Elder Su, you come here with such aggression, may I inquire as to the reason? Lu Changsheng, in his mystic robe, stood with his hands behind his back in the void, looking at the approaching elder ancestor of the Su family and asked calmly. Who are you? You know of my beast-taming Su family and yet dare to oppose us so. The elder ancestor of the Su family, although surprised by their brief clash, still had an aggressive demeanor as he shouted loudly. Me? I am simply a loose cultivator, sending my children to the Purple Shadow secret realm for training. Lu Changxing responded thus. Very well, you won't tell me? A mere foundation establishment cultivator dares to be so insolent before me. Once I capture you, I will make you spill everything. The elder ancestor of the Su family glared with fury, his voice cold as he spoke. He had already decided that Lu Changxing was from some top-tier power, deliberately provoking to gauge his family's situation. In the midst of his speech, his pupils flashed with purple-blue thunder light. Roar! A beast's roar echoed through the heavens and earth. Strands of purple-blue thunder light spread from the Qi ocean core of the elder ancestor of the Su family. A ring-shaped magic artifact with swirling winds and thunder appeared above the elder ancestor's head. This ring, called the Thunderstorm Ring, was the life-bound magic treasure of the elder ancestor of the Su family. Although it was a low-quality magical treasure, after many years of his sacrifice, combined with the nine-headed wind thunder steeds, its power was astonishing. Even if Lu Changxing before him seemed out of the ordinary, capable of being a false-core immortal, he was utterly unafraid. After all, as a member of the beast-taming Su family who commanded spiritual beasts, he was already among the best in his own rank. Boom! At the moment when the elder Su ancestor brought out his magical treasure, Lu Changxing had already taken the initiative to make a move. He knew that today's matter could not end well, and he had to fight. 9 treasures: Rui Bone, Spirit, Qi, and Mind. Lu Changxing immediately activated the 3 divine skills contained within his life-bound treasure bone. The runes on his breastbone intertwined, bursting with brilliant light, enhancing his physical body, mana, and divine sense intensely, roaring like a tsunami. In an instant, his figure, as he shot forward, seemed to grow a few inches taller. At the same time, countless purple-red fiery flames spread from his radiant body and charged ahead to confront the elder ancestor of the Su family. Sar the Oval Fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Roar, roar, roar. The 9-headed wind thunder steeds howled towards the sky, emanating waves of wind and thunder, which filled the air. But before Lu Changxing's demon god-like figure, the 9-headed wind thunder steeds were directly sent flying by a brutal impact and screamed in pain as they were burned by the raging dragon flame. What? No good. The elder ancestor of the Su family saw Lu Changxing directly use brute force to knock away his 9-headed wind thunder steeds and approach him. His expression slightly changed. Source: web novel. Com updated on Novlove. Com if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 977. False Core Immortal, Nothing Special. Chapter 977, Chapter 349, False Core Immortal, Nothing Special. He hurriedly performed a gesture incantation, his life-bound magic treasure, Thunderstorm Ring, bursting with luster. It formed walls enveloped in wind and thunder, standing in front of him. Yet, at this very moment, Lu Changxing, bolstered by the 9 treasures Rui Bone, seemed like a true dragon awakening from his usual dormant state. It was like a primeval volcano erupting, an oppressive presence at its most tyrannical, his vital energy shooting to the heavens, creating smokes and flames that threw the world into chaos. Pu. Under the god and demon-like physical might, the Patriarch's thus 9 wind and thunder walls were instantly fractured into pieces and dissipated like smoke. Patriarch Su, as a false core immortal, I wonder if you can handle a few moves from Lu someone. Lu Changxing's eyes, with purple gold flames burning within his pupils, exuded a domineering and eerie aura. A sea of flames formed around his body, with a purple-red thunder dragon coiling around him, his voice resonating mightily. Not good. Could this person be a third-order body refiner? Patriarch Zu's face was filled with horror. The idea of retreat surged in his heart as he quickly shouted, Daoist, please stop. However, Lu Changxing had already made his move. A golden fist, accompanied by a roaring purple-red thunder dragon, came straight at him, so bright that it filled Patriarch Xi's eyes. Puchi. With the punch, as profound and abyssal as prison itself, accompanied by the hot and tyrannical thunder gang dragon flame, instantly shattered and melted Patriarch Xi's body-protecting magic barrier. Then, with a burst of golden light, the punch, overflowing with endless thunder flames, directly smashed the false core immortal's physical body, leaving a gaping hole in his chest. You, Patriarch Xu, his expression filled with shock, looked at Lu Changxing before him, a sense of unprecedented despair rising in his heart. Sizzling. The next moment, the raging and ferocious thunder gang dragon flame evaporated Patriarch Xi's blood, reducing his physical body to charred remains. Is this it? Lu Changxing eyed the easily dispatched Patriarch Xu with a sense of unreality. Weak, too weak. Truly too weak. Such strength, even without the use of the 9 treasures Rui Bone, he could have easily crushed his opponent. However, it was precisely the blessing of the 9 treasures Rui Bone that rendered the false core immortal powerless before him. Whether it was the 9-headed wind thunder steed, the effects of magical treasures, or the body-protecting magic barriers, all seemed too fragile to withstand a single blow. False core immortal, is merely so. Lu Changxing said indifferently. He raised his hand and collected Patriarch Xi's inner core, storage ring, and treasures into his pouch, then turned his gaze towards the 9-headed wind thunder steed. Roar, roar, roar. The 9-headed wind thunder steed, seeing its master dead, roared furiously towards Lu Changxing. Upon seeing this, Lu Changxing did not hold back, blasting all 9 heads of the steed to their demise. Indeed, the 9-headed wind thunder steed was quite remarkable. Not only could it serve as a combat power but also as a means of transportation. But the steed had clearly been kept by Patriarch Xu all along, making taming it quite troublesome. Even if it were tamed, he currently could not use it before others, only to be raised slowly. Yet, the expenditure for keeping a second-order monster beast was not a small overhead. It was better to just kill it. Having accomplished this, Lu Changxing collected the carcasses of the 9-headed wind thunder steed into his storage bag. The flames around his body gradually dissipated, and the terrifying spiritual pressure receded like the tide, as he returned to his own spirit boat. At this time, Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin on the spirit boat were still dumbfounded, motionless. It was too astounding. The scene from just now was simply too shocking. A single punch. Defeated in an instant? My father defeated a false core immortal with 1 punch. The brothers were utterly bewildered, at a total loss for words to describe their current feelings. It was beyond their wildest dreams. CTH Novelfire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. They knew their father was formidable and usually kept his skill hidden. But they never imagined it to this extent. And wasn't their father's greatest strength supposed to be the talisman path? How could he be so ferocious in body refinement? And that intense, overbearing, and incredibly violent purple-red flame. Even after the fight was over, they could still feel a wave of scorching heat in the air. As cultivators, one should remain unfazed even if the sky dome collapses before them and remain calm even if dragons and phoenixes appear behind them. If you get worked up over such trivial matters, how will you achieve greatness in the future? Lu Changxing looked at his 2 sons acting this way and calmly instructed them not to make a fuss. The 2 brothers looked at their father. You call this a trivial matter? But upon reflection, what their father said didn't seem wrong. After all, a battle resolved with a single punch was indeed a trivial matter. Certainly, when Patriarch Xu had come to attack, their father had remained calm and assured, indicating that he was in control. What father says is true. Lu Pingan immediately showed an embarrassed expression, accepting the lesson. He believed his mindset was indeed insufficient. During the confrontation with Qin Yi in the Purple Shadow Secret Realm, his mentality was shaken. And just now, he had been stunned into inaction. Such distractions could cost one their life in a fight to the death. Lu Chuanjin was still a bit muddled and only nodded without speaking. Because he truly did not know what to say. The shock of the situation was too great for him, finding his father a bit unfamiliar. It was hard to imagine that his father, with a low-quality spiritual root and usually lazy demeanor, possessed such astonishing battle strength and force. After we return home, I will explain to you. Lu Changsheng, seeing that his sons were still troubled, patted their shoulders and spoke. Then, he steered the spirit boat and transformed into a beam of escape light, flying swiftly into the mountain range on the right. They had just left Ziyun Gorge not long ago, and it was easy to attract the attention of others with the recent noise. Therefore, he had to find a place to reorganize and check the situation to avoid being targeted. Shortly after Lu Changxing left, several figures looked over in this direction. What just happened? Such a formidable display of power, could it be nascent soul immortals fighting? Why did the battle end so quickly? I think I saw Patriarch Su just now. Patriarch Su left in a hurry earlier. It seems that all the clan cultivators died in the secret realm. Could it be related to this? Beast-taming Su family is one of the top-tier forces in Jianghu country's cultivation realm. How could such a thing happen? Could it be targeted by the 4 great immortal sects? Daoist friend, you shouldn't say such things. After a few whispers, several Foundation establishment cultivators did not dare to linger longer and quickly left. After all, they had just exited Ziyun Gorge and felt a frightening pressure ahead. They passed by to take a look, not wanting to get overly involved. Source: Web Novel. Com, updated on Novlove. Com. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 978, Men are inherently tough, but gentle as fathers. Chapter 978, Chapter 350, Men are inherently tough, but gentle as fathers. Dragon Head Mountain. The mountain towered mightily, with a range of peaks stretching on, as if a real dragon lay coiled across them, gazing down over the vast land and leaving onlookers in dread. At the foot of the mountain, an immense stone stele stood 100 meters tall. Carved into it were the forceful and vigorous characters, Beast-taming Su family, exuding an air of grandeur and an ancient aura. This was the main residence of one of the 3 great cultivator families of Jianghu country's cultivation realm, the Beast-taming Su family. For thousands of years, the Su family had not only a core formation old ancestor at its helm but also third-order spirit beasts to underpin its heritage, commanding the renowned water serpent Dao soldiers and fire crow Dao soldiers across the cultivation world of Jianghu country. Their strength was unquestionable and not something ordinary family forces could compare with. At this moment, in the Su family ancestral hall. Pfft! An elder from the Su family, responsible for guarding the hall, was startled by a sudden sound of a flame being extinguished from within. He entered the ancestral hall in a frantic state to investigate. Direct members of the Su family, the core descendants, were each equipped with a life-bound plaque. Once they broke through to Foundation establishment and became part of the upper echelons of the family, their life-bound plaque would be upgraded to a life-bound lamp. With this, not only could one ascertain if the lamp's owner was alive or dead, but one could also sense their life force through the lamp. A flickering lamp, like a candle in the wind, indicated that the person was in a state of crisis, and one could take the lamp to their aid. The Su family elder entered the hall where the lamps were displayed and at first glance, did not see any extinguished lamps. However, facing this situation, he felt no joy. His face turned pale as he slowly looked toward the high platform where the lamps were situated. The first layer. The second layer. The third layer. His face grew paler with each ascending layer he observed, and when he saw a lamp on the third layer extinguished, he felt as though struck by lightning, his face ashen, nearly collapsing to the ground. This is the ancestor's lamp. How could this be? The elder was overwhelmed, disbelief filling his eyes. Thinking his vision failed him, he looked again and again. Once sure the lamp was truly extinguished and their elder ancestor had perished abroad, he let out a pitiful cry, sounding the bell to notify the family. In the depths of the Kangmang mountain range. Lu Changxing had finished cleaning out the storage bag of the elder ancestor of the Su family. Aside from spirit stones and several top-grade spiritual instruments, there weren't many precious treasures. Well, it seems that this elder ancestor of the Su family had probably spent all his possessions on this thunderstorm ring and the nine-headed wind thunder steed. Lu Changxing shook his head and sighed as he looked at the thunderstorm ring in his hand. A false core immortal like the elder ancestor of the Su family wouldn't possibly have afforded a nine-headed wind thunder steed if he hadn't been born into the beast-taming Su family. After all, nurturing spiritual beasts was akin to burning money. The Blackwater Jialong Dao weapon, 9 Netherhound, and 6-winged golden silkworm that he had asked Hong Lian to help him raise had all consumed vast amounts of resources. Not to mention the elder ancestor's 9 second-rank wind thunder steeds. Under these circumstances, unless the other party had just engaged in plundering and killing like Xiahou Wuwa had once done, they wouldn't normally have much wealth on them. Lu Changxing dealt with all the suspicious items, pocketing the magic treasure thunderstorm ring into his storage ring. Such life-bound magic treasures would see their power decline by several folds once refined by others. Moreover, if the attributes of the cultivation method did not match, they couldn't unleash much power at all, making it very superfluous and only suitable as a gift for one's children. As for the most precious thing, aside from the treasure, it'd be this inner core, right? Lu Changxing examined the false core he held in his hand, belonging to the elder ancestor of the Su family. He had not yet come across the inner core of a false core immortal. By appearance, it should have been a third-order demon pill. However, after being condensed into a false core by the elder ancestor of the Su family, the entire pill looked marred and discolored, with an aura completely different from the true elixir of Nangong Meili. No wonder it's called a false core. By the looks of it, unless it's the same exact cultivation method used by the Su family elder ancestor, it's probably unusable by anyone else. After inspecting it for a moment, Lu Changxing put the core into his storage ring, planning to ask his walking encyclopedia, Hong Lian, for advice later. Then, he turned to check on his 2 sons. Sarch * the novel Fire. Net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After a while, he identified the problem with the black dragon shears. The elder ancestor of the Su family must have used this spiritual artifact as a primer to sense your presence, Lu Changxing spoke out. He hadn't found any markers on his sons but noted that the aura of this black dragon shears resonated with the same source as a flood dragon pearl from the elder ancestor's storage bag. Therefore, he deduced that the elder ancestor must have used some method to sense the location of the spiritual artifact and followed it to them. So does this mean we can't casually keep any spiritual artifacts on us in the future? Hearing his father's words, Lu Pingan looked at the black dragon shears before him and scratched his head. Ordinary spiritual artifacts should be fine. Lu Changxing chuckled and continued, this spiritual artifact was clearly forged by an artifact refining master using rare materials, so remember to be extra careful when encountering such top-grade spiritual artifacts. However, this time it was just that the Patriarch Su happened to be outside the secret realm. Usually, even if the spiritual artifacts can sense each other, there's a distance limitation. Most of the time, as long as you're separated by thousands of miles, sensing them becomes quite difficult. Lu Changxing slowly explained. This kind of method was similar in principle to sensing talismans and identity tokens. Once the distance exceeded 1,000 miles, even if the other party was a nascent soul immortal, it would be very difficult for them to sense anything unless they paid a great price. Dad, we understand. The 2 of them nodded, quickly grasping the concept. Furthermore, on some magic artifacts, bloodline spirit bands will be refined in to prevent outsiders from refining them for use. If someone rashly tries to consecrate them, they'll trigger the prohibitions and methods within. So you must be extra careful with powerful artifacts you get from clan cultivators in the future. Source, web novel. Com, updated on Novlove. Com if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 979, Men are inherently tough, but gentle as fathers. Chapter 979, Chapter 350, Men are inherently tough, but gentle as fathers. Lu Changxing continued to instruct. In the cultivation world, snatching magic artifacts not only often led to ones that were ill-suited for oneself, but also could contain various dangerous traps. Among the spiritual artifacts he had obtained previously at White Tiger Mountain, 2 of them contained bloodline spirit bands. However, the effects of the bloodline spirit bands from White Tiger Mountain were quite mediocre. It only made it difficult for others to unleash their full power, making them only suitable for members of the Zhao family. Dad, does this pair of scissors have a bloodline spirit band? Upon hearing this, Lu Pingan immediately asked. This one doesn't. Bloodline spirit bands, although they prevent outsiders from refining, can also impact the artifact's full potential. Moreover, as descendants' bloodlines become diluted over time, the effectiveness of the bloodline spirit bands would also be compromised, hence such bands are seldom applied except in family heirloom treasures. If you encounter such artifacts in the future and aren't sure about them, just find a black market to exchange them for money, but you must be very careful not to attract attention during the process. Lu Changxing advised aloud. After packing up everything and getting ready, Lu Changxing didn't continue to stay in the mountains. He switched to a spirit boat and said to his 2 sons, "Let's go. Regarding the matters of today, you should keep my cultivation level to yourselves, and absolutely not disclose it." "Dad, I understand." "Father, your son understands." Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin nodded in response. After the 3 of them boarded the spirit boat, Lu Chuanjin, watching his father's tall figure, had numerous thoughts swirling in his head. Still pondering what exactly his father's situation was. Was it a case of a nascent soul true lord reborn through body snatching, or was it a reincarnation of some great being from legends? Besides these reasons, he really couldn't think of any others for why his father, in his 50s, would possess such astonishing strength, able to kill a false core immortal with a single punch. Moreover, he had also recalled something after coming to his senses. His father had used a sword technique when facing the elder ancestor of the Su family. The aura of that sword technique was fierce and dominant, somewhat similar to that of his brother Lu Qingshan's sword Dao. Then regarding body refinement, it was exactly like his older brother Lu Pingan's, only even more straightforward and dominant, returning to the basics. So, did Big Brother inherit father's body refinement? Did Qingshan inherit father's sword Dao? Did Wangshu inherit father's talisman path? Lu Chuanjin thought to himself, quite confused. The previous meeting with Uncle Chu Chunga had broadened his horizons, making him think he had seen a more expansive world. Yet now, his father's actions had completely baffled him. "Chuanjin, if you have something to ask, just speak up, otherwise I see you holding back uncomfortably." At this moment, Lu Changxing turned back and smiled at his son Lu Chuanjin. His divine sense was sharp, naturally noticing whenever his son glanced at him, clearly troubled. "My child is just curious, father, you possess such strength, why do you continue to hide it so deeply?" Lu Chuanjin hesitated, not knowing where to start. After thinking, he chose a simpler question to ask. "Men should naturally be firm, but I choose to be gentle." Lu Changxing smiled lightly, looking at the mountains below spread out like stars in the sky, and softly said, "In the cultivation world, all beings are struggling. They fear neither heaven nor earth, only those who live differently from themselves. If you are too weak or too evil, they will destroy you and trample you. If you are too good or too strong, they will bully and fear you. Only by being just like everyone else can you be accepted by the world and live peacefully. If my strength were known to the world, endless troubles would surely find me. Even if I weren't afraid, what about you? So, to live peacefully and freely in the cultivation world, one must disguise oneself just like everyone else." Lu Changsheng's voice was gentle as he spoke slowly. After finishing, he smiled, patted his son on the shoulder, and said, "You will gradually learn more about your father's affairs in the future. Just remember, I am always your father, the everlasting support behind you. So if you have any problems, just discuss them directly with me." Although Lu Changxing was disguised at that moment, his appearance much more imposing, such words still conveyed a familiar gentle tone to the brothers. "Father, I understand." Lu Chuanjin responded with a smile, no longer pondering or fretting. After all, whether his father was a nascent soul true lord reborn or some legendary great being reincarnated, it did not affect their father-son relationship. His cultivation, care, and protection for them were all genuine. Furthermore, the more powerful the father, the more direct benefits to him as a son. Though he was self-reliant, he was not an old-fashioned person. When it was time to lean on his family, he would. "Dad, I understand." Lu Pingan nodded earnestly. Since the incident with the Hope Gu, Lu Changsheng's figure had loomed like a high mountain in his heart. "By the way, Dad, I've broken through to the 6th level of the 100 Refinements treasure body art, but I feel like there were some issues during the cultivation process." Sir, the novel fire. And a website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At that moment, Lu Pingan spoke up, seeking Lu Changsheng's advice on his cultivation technique. A problem with cultivation? Tell me. Lu Changsheng immediately showed a concerned expression. The details of the 100 Refinements treasure body art were extremely important. Even slight mistakes in the cultivation process could cause body issues. It happened in the secret realm when I took a lot of spiritual medicines, and as a result, a thin membrane formed between my muscles and bones. I suspect this has something to do with my breakthrough to the 5th layer before. Lu Pingan spoke, revealing his situation to Lu Changsheng. "May I see?" Lu Changsheng held his son's wrist, channeling his mana and divine sense into his body to check. A moment later, after seeing the thin membrane Pingan mentioned, his brows furrowed slightly before smoothing out. Source: Web novel. Com, updated on Novlove. Com. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know to report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 980, Men are inherently tough, but gentle as fathers. Chapter 980, Chapter 350, Men are inherently tough, but gentle as fathers. Lu Changsheng thought to himself that his son's opportunity was indeed fortuitous. This was one of the divine skills of the 100 Refinements treasure body art, which Lu Pingan had mastered on his own without a teacher under the autonomous operation of the cultivation technique. This is alright, it's a technique and magical powers accompanying the 100 Refinements treasure body art, which I haven't taught you before. This must be when you had a breakthrough to the 5th level earlier, where the cultivation technique automatically operated, allowing this divine skill to begin its initiation. Then, with the nourishment of a vast amount of heaven and earth spiritual material, it acquired a few characteristics of the divine skill's effect. Lu Changsheng said so. As an orthodox level cultivation technique, the 100 Refinements treasure body art naturally had other techniques and divine skills besides the treasure bone technique. Like the thin membrane inside Lu Pingan's body, it's called 100 Refinements battle armor. Once refined, it could spread the membrane out, forming an armor around the body. If not displayed on ordinary days, it would stay inside the body like a keratinous membrane, enhancing bodily defense. Divine skills. Both Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjun were startled upon hearing this. After all, only nascent soul immortals could cultivate and master divine skills. Now that they heard about Lu Pingan's initiation into divine skills, how could the two not be surprised? Yes, divine skills, but it only possesses a few characteristics of the effect. To truly refine this divine skill, there is still a long road ahead. Lu Changsheng spoke, saying thus. He could see that the other seemingly had this trait by a fluke of chance. The true small achievement of divine skills was still a great distance away. Moreover, to condense this 100 Refinements battle armor, it's unknown how many resources and heavenly and earthly treasures it would require. After we return home, I will pass the techniques and divine skills of the 100 Refinements treasure body art to you, during your cultivation process. If you have any other issues, speak them all out. Lu Changsheng continued to speak. Immediately afterwards, Lu Pingan voiced all the issues and confusions he encountered during his cultivation. During this, Lu Changsheng nodded slightly as he heard his son talk about the fist technique that opens mountains. He thought to himself that his son indeed had some comprehension in body refinement and martial path. After the 5th level of the 100 Refinements treasure body art, one could gradually cultivate the body parts towards magical treasures, condensing a type of effectiveness. This mount-opening fist technique of Lu Pingan was based on this principle. Except, his situation was a shortcut. He did not condense his own technique and divine skills, but by condensing a magical treasure within the body, leveraged a trace of its power effect. However, as Lu Pingan spoke, Lu Changxing only then realized that this son had the strength but lacked a severe understanding of how to use it, and just like his own old father, didn't even possess a single suitable magic artifact. Once we return home, I'll solve this for you. Lu Changxing said boldly with a grand gesture of his hand, planning to teach the techniques of the 100 Refinements treasure body art to Lu Pingan once back home and then tailor several spiritual artifacts for him. After all, he had no capability to forge magical treasures, but with his current fame as Master Lu, requesting others to forge a few spiritual artifacts was not a big problem. Once Lu Pingan breaks through to Foundation establishment and has spiritual artifacts, he could situate himself in White Tiger Mountain and start utilizing the spirit land there. As the father and sons idly chatted, the spirit boat swiftly flew toward By Lake Mountain. Meanwhile, in the beast-taming Sioux family, a mighty disturbance swept over the entire Dragon Head Mountain. Fierce beasts roared, shaking the void. The family patriarch has come out of closed-door cultivation. Previously it was said during the Beast Tide incident, the family patriarch was gravely injured and went into secluded cultivation, with strict instructions not to be disturbed unless absolutely necessary. How soon it has been that he had to come out. This incident must involve someone deliberately targeting our family, hence the family patriarch had to step in. Not only the family patriarch, but the aura of the earth dragon beast is also present. Countless members of the Sioux family sensed this aura and were extremely alarmed. Many high-level members immediately understood and spoke with trembling voices. Check immediately, see which force is responsible. This old man isn't dead yet, and they dare to mess with my Sioux family. The voice of the elder ancestor of the Sioux family thundered like rolling thunder, with the roars of thousands of beasts suppressing a burst of rage as he spoke towards the Sioux family high-level officials. This closed-door cultivation of his had only lasted 10 years, and such an incident in his family naturally made him extremely angered. At your command. The high-level officials of the Sioux family were terrified and shivering. Instantly, the entire beast-taming Sioux family sprung into action, because this was not merely a matter of the death of one false-core immortal, it also concerned the face and dignity of the beast-taming Sioux family. 1 month later, Lu Changxing, Lu Pingan, and Lu Qianzhen returned to By Lake Mountain. He directly took his 2 sons to the summit of Blue Cloud Peak. After all, it was time to tell them about some matters regarding the Mount Summer Cave Heaven. Moreover, both Lu Qianzhen and Lu Pingan were preparing to break through to Foundation establishment, and he planned to have both men break through in the Mount Summer Cave Heaven. Follow me. Lu Changxing led the 2 toward the summit. The 2 brothers looked at each other. This summit of Blue Cloud Peak was a familial forbidden area, shrouded in clouds and mists all day, something they had never experienced before, yet now their father was bringing them here. Before long, the 3 arrived at the summit of Blue Cloud Peak. As the inverted 5 elements formation opened, a tall and prominent Mount Summer Tree King appeared before the 2, glistening with gold and jade. This is... Both could tell that the tree before them was no ordinary one. However, Lu Qianzhen immediately noticed that, aside from this tree, there was no residence to be seen on the entire summit. This is the Mount Summer Tree King, our family's sacred tree of stabilization. Lu Changxing pointed at Mount Summer and spoke. Mount Summer Tree King, the sacred tree of stabilization? The 2 looked at the Mount Summer Tree King before them, desiring to know why this tree was considered their family's sacred tree of stabilization. However, Lu Changxing did not explain and pointed to a rather inconspicuous tree next to Mount Summer, speaking towards Lu Qianzhen. Qianzhen, this is the auspicious tree that your mother used to cultivate the heaven and earth longevity technique. As his son already knew about the heaven and earth longevity technique, he naturally would not hide it. Auspicious tree? Lu Qianzhen was taken aback, observing the auspicious tree before him. This name was chosen by your mother, so you are certainly unfamiliar with it. Lu Changxing smiled and said, Father, is the heaven and earth longevity technique unpracticable without a spiritual root? At this moment, Lu Pingan suddenly looked at Lu Changxing and asked. Upon hearing this, Lu Changxing paused for a moment and then gently shook his head. He understood what his son meant by his words, but without spiritual power, it was impossible to refine heaven and earth spiritual plant, Sea than a fire. Et website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Lu Pingan pursed his lips, his expression somewhat heavy as he nodded. Mount Sumeru. Lu Changxing softly called out. Instantly, a golden portal appeared before them. The two brothers saw the golden portal before them, both stunned, for the portal reminded them of the gate to the Purple Shadow secret realm. Could it be that their family owned a secret realm? Go in, Lu Changxing patted their shoulders and spoke. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 981, Generous Harvest, Pill Thunder Bead. Chapter 981, Chapter 351, Generous Harvest, Pill Thunder Bead. 3 people entered the Mount Sumeru cave heaven. Dad, this place is. Lu Qiuanjun and Lu Pingan looked around at their surroundings, eyes wide with shock. They had never expected that their own family possessed such a secret realm. This place is known as the Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, our family's true core. Lu Changxing spoke out. As he spoke, his gaze drifted towards the newly appeared medicine garden not far off. Inside, flowers and trees of various shapes, all shrouded in spiritual energy, were planted. Changxing, you've returned. At that moment, Lu Miaoge, who was inside the Changxing hall, sensed Lu Changxing's presence and walked out. She wore a simple white dress, her features gentle and beautiful, exuding a temperament as placid as water. Seeing Lu Pingan and Lu Qiuanjun beside her, she showed a slight surprise and said with a smile, Pingan and Qiuanjun are also here. Aunt. Greetings, Aunt. Lu Pingan and Lu Qiuanjun immediately bowed with hands clasped. Indeed, Pingan and Qiuanjun are nearly at the point of foundation establishment, so I brought them here to have a look. They will attempt to achieve foundation establishment within this cave heaven when the time comes. Lu Changxing was still dressed in a dark fate-defying robe, but his face was no longer disguised, revealing his handsome, majestic features. Pingan and Qiuanjun are about to establish their foundations? Upon hearing these words, Lu Miaoge's graceful face showed astonishment. Although during their time on White Tiger Mountain, she knew that Lu Qiuanjun had the capability of the 9th level energy refinement. But she did not expect that they would so soon be attempting foundation establishment. And Lu Pingan was also going to attempt foundation establishment? She remembered that 16 years ago, Lu Pingan had just discovered his spiritual root and embarked on the path of cultivation. For a time, Lu Miaoge felt as if she was in another world, reminiscing about the years on Jianghu Mountain when they struggled to cultivate a foundation establishment great cultivator, pouring the entire family's effort. Yet now, unbeknownst to her, the second generation of her family was about to begin their foundation establishment. That's right, both Pingan and Qiuanjun encountered some fortunate opportunities, so they've progressed quickly. Lu Changxing smiled and spoke, Sister Miaoge, has Qingshan already returned? He had noticed earlier on that the plants in the garden were the spiritual medicines brought back by Lu Qingshan from the Purple Shadow secret realm. Qingshan brought back the spiritual medicines from the secret realm and then left with Qingzhu to return to the Jinyang sect. Lu Miaoge said in a soft voice. Although her children had returned for several months, their departure once more left her with reluctance. Just like that, they're gone. Lu Changxing felt a pang in his heart and sighed upon hearing this. Originally, when his children were taken in by Tianyuan True Immortal as disciples, he was on his way home and had no chance to bid them farewell. Now that they had departed, he as their father, was once again not at home. But this was to be expected, as Tianyuan True Immortal's primary intention for bringing the children home was to visit the Purple Shadow secret realm and to see their family. Now that several months at home had passed, and the exploration of the secret realm had concluded, naturally, they could not stay for long, waiting for his return to say goodbye. Moreover, his son Lu Qingshan had matters to attend to in the sect. By the way, Changxing, these are the spiritual medicines sent back by Qingshan. He mentioned that because the Yujinjinren of the Heavenly Sword sect noticed his exceptional sword Dao talent, he was exempted from submitting these medicinal herbs. Lu Miaoge, discerning her husband's mood, promptly changed the topic and pointed towards the medicine garden, speaking gently. The Yujinjinren of the Heavenly Sword sect noticed his exceptional sword Dao talent, so he was exempted from submitting these medicinal herbs? Lu Chongqing was taken aback upon hearing this. Outside of the Purple Shadow secret realm, he had seen his son Lu Qingshan speaking with a true person from the Heavenly Sword sect, and then leaving without submitting the medicinal herbs with Tian Yuan true Immortal. At that time, he thought that the true person from the Heavenly Sword sect allowed his son to leave so promptly out of respect for Tian Yuan true Immortal. He never expected that it was actually because of his son's own sword Dao talent. Yes, Qingshan said that Yu Jinjinren only asked him to go to the Heavenly Sword sect to seek advice on swordsmanship after he breaks through Foundation establishment. Then, he wouldn't need to submit any medicinal herbs. Lu Maiaja's eyes shone as she spoke softly with a smile. Although Lu Qingshan was the son of her younger sister Lu Miaohuan, she had always treated him like her own. She doted on this nephew even more than her own daughter, Lu Qingzhu. Now that Lu Qingshan was so highly regarded by a nascent soul immortal of the Heavenly Sword sect, inviting him to the Heavenly Sword sect to seek advice, she was very happy and proud. CTH Nell Fire. And a website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After all, this was the Heavenly Sword sect. The overlord of the Jianghu country cultivation realm. The holy land for all sword cultivators. For an ordinary cultivator to be accepted into the Heavenly Sword sect was already akin to a fish jumping the Dragon Gate. And her own child was being personally invited by a true person from the Heavenly Sword sect to seek advice, such an honor it was. Being valued by a true person from the Heavenly Sword sect and invited to seek advice, thus exempt from submitting medicinal herbs. Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin, hearing this, also looked at each other, marveling at such good fortune. They knew that their harvest in the Purple Shadow secret realm was far from a small amount. If only we had given all the medicinal herbs to Qingshan. Lu Pingan regretfully said immediately. They were worried that giving all the medicinal herbs to Lu Qingshan might have an impact on him, so they had only given half. Pingan, Chuanjin, you've also worked hard on this journey to the secret realm. At this moment, Lu Miaoga spoke softly to Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin. She knew that half of the spiritual medicines sent back by Lu Qingshan were their part of the harvest. Therefore, she differentiated between their gains and Lu Qingshan's. After all, in a family, there is a contribution system. Even if they were all from the same family, contributions would be rewarded accordingly. It's just that, currently, Bihu Lake Mountain's family contribution system wasn't fully established. For the gains from such secret realms, there was no explicit reward policy yet. And, we've still got some spiritual medicines here. Lu Chuanjin spotted the heavenly spirit flowers in the front garden. He immediately understood the reason his father had them uproot the medicines from the Purple Shadow secret realm completely. It was because their family's Mount Sumeru cave heaven could nurture all kinds of precious spiritual medicines, similar to the Purple Shadow secret realm. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know each report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 982, Rich Harvest, Pill Thunder Bead. Chapter 982, Chapter 351, Rich Harvest, Pill Thunder Bead. This left him utterly astonished, feeling that his father was becoming more and more mysterious. All right. Lu Miaoga took the spirit plant bag and then sent a message to Lu Chongqing. Chongqing, Pingan and Chuanjin have gathered so many spiritual medicines this trip. Have you thought about how to reward them? Although they were their own children, she felt that rewards must be given no matter what. Don't worry, I'll handle this. Lu Chongqing sent back a message. He planned to reward his son, Lu Pingan, with the casting of a spiritual artifact and the magical treasure body tempering art for his cultivation. As for Lu Chuanjin, who was lacking nothing at the moment, he decided to give him the entire bottle of Purple Mansion elixirs. After his son broke through to the Foundation establishment late stage, he would go on a journey. 10 Purple Mansion elixirs would be enough to enhance one's divine sense from the initial stage of Foundation establishment all the way to the late stage. This would be of great help to Lu Quanzhen's experience outside. Lu Miaoga nodded lightly. She was just reminding her husband. After all, Lu Chongqing could be rather casual about these matters. He might not take it to heart or might forget about it after a while. Mount Sumeru. Lu Changxing opened the spirit plant bag, indicating that any plant that could be grown should be planted. Master, Mount Sumera spoke out, indicating that it could maintain the growth of these spirit plants. But it could only barely keep them alive, not able to expedite their maturity. However, for Lu Changxing, this was enough. As long as they could barely sustain life, he could use the myriad spirits heaven dew to ripen them when needed. After Mount Sumera had planted the golden Bodhi date tree, white jade Ganoderma, heavenly spirit flower, and golden blood ginseng, rare spiritual medicines hard to cultivate in the outside world, in the medicine garden of the cave heaven, Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge took inventory of the remaining gains. Counting the spiritual medicines previously sent back by Lu Qingshan, the harvest of the three brothers was indeed very rich. There were a total of 4 heavenly spirit fruits. If it weren't for the fact that Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin had turned in 2, there would have been 6. But with the heavenly spirit flower, Lu Changxing wasn't too concerned about the 2 submitted heavenly spirit fruits. After all, who could have expected that Lu Qingshan would be favored by a true individual of the heavenly sword sect and be exempted from submitting spiritual medicines? Seeing the gains of her 3 sons, Lu Miaoge also looked moved. You must know that in the Purple Shadow secret realm, rare spirit fruits like the heavenly spirit fruits, even if a clan cultivator risked their life, they would still need good luck to possibly obtain 1 or 2. Yet her own 3 children brought back 4 from the secret realm. This made her realize that Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin were also extraordinary. Seeds of a second-rank demon tree? At that moment, Lu Changxing looked at the 4 thumb-sized, purple crystal seeds in his hand. Yes, but we're not sure if they are the seeds of that demon tree, because these seeds were found inside the body of a demon beast, Lu Chuanjin said. Good, Chuanjin, Pingan, you've worked hard. Lu Changxing nodded. If these 4 seeds were indeed seeds of a heaven and earth spiritual plant, then to him, they would be far more precious than any spiritual medicine. He planned to try cultivating these seeds with some leftover myriad spirits heaven dew from his home when there was some to spare. Then, Lu Changxing had Mount Sumera build a simple wooden house for the 2 brothers, Lu Pingan and Lu Chuanjin, next to it for daily cultivation. S.E.A. the novel, F. Iyer. And a website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. He told them that if they wanted to enter or exit the cave heaven, they could just call for Elder Mount Sumera. Alright, you've both been tired from the journey, go back and rest early. Lu Changxing waved his hands to his sons. Yes, father. The 2 bowed and called for Elder Mount Sumera, then left the cave heaven. Sister Miaoge, when you have time, make a trip to Jianghu Mountain and have father-in-law outsource the additional ingredients for the foundation establishment elixir, Lu Changxing said to Lu Miaoge. With 4 heavenly spirit fruits, he could now refine 4 batches of foundation establishment elixirs. With 3 pills per batch, that was 12 foundation establishment elixirs. This amount was more than enough for his family right now. And with the myriad spirits bottle, he could have as many foundation establishment elixirs as he wanted in the future. So under these circumstances, he naturally would not forget about Jianghu Mountain and was willing to lend them a helping hand. Alright, Lu Miaoge's beautiful eyes were brimming, gently looking at her husband, clearly understanding his intentions. Although her son, Lu Qingshan, had said when he came back that if there were extra foundation establishment elixirs, they would give 1 to Jianghu Mountain, but she hadn't brought it up yet, and Lu Changxing had already proactively thought of Jianghu Mountain, which moved her deeply. Sister Miaoge, I've missed you. Lu Changxing chuckled softly, wrapping his arms around his wife's delicate body, sniffing the fresh fragrance of her hair, and spoke in a warm voice. The trip to and from the Purple Shadow secret realm had taken over 3 months, and the whole process was quite tedious for him, his mind constantly missing his beloved wife at home. Lu Miaoge nestled in her husband's arms, breathing in his scent. Sister Miaoge, let me see how your Sun Moon Samsara technique is progressing. Lu Changxing slipped one hand under his wife's knees and lifted her in a bridal carry, striding into the Changxing hall. Changxing, Lu Miaoge couldn't help but softly call out, quickly extending her hand to wrap around Lu Changxing's neck, her face flushing with a rosy tint. For someone her age to still be held by her husband like this, if Sister Ling or Little Linger saw, it would be embarrassing. However, thinking that Ling Zixiao had been in closed-door cultivation these days and Bai Ling was looking after the little ones at the Lu family mansion, she relaxed and rested her cheek against Lu Changsheng's chest. Entering the cave mansion, Lu Changsheng put his wife on the white jade bed and began to kiss passionately, expressing his longing. Between their lips, a delicate and heavy symphony swirled, accompanied by the rustling sounds. The white dress, snow lotus undergarment, embroidered shoes, silk socks, and his long robe and boots all slowly scattered across the floor. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know it report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 983, Generous Harvest, Pill Thunder Bead. Chapter 983, Chapter 351, Generous Harvest, Pill Thunder Bead. Two bodies tensed, stretching, twisting, and colliding amid faint gasps. Changsheng, you just got back. Don't stay up too late, Lu Miaoga cooed softly, her beautiful eyebrows slightly furrowed, her captivating eyes shimmering, her voice trembling as she spoke. She felt that after being away for so long, Lu Changsheng should have headed straight to the Lu family mansion upon his return instead of engaging in cultivation like this. I understand, Lu Changsheng replied, his voice somewhat muffled. After some time of cultivation, achieving harmony between yin and yang, Lu Changsheng felt refreshed and invigorated. Then, he and Lu Miaoga straightened their clothes, walked out of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, and made their way to the Lu family mansion. Aside from Lu Miaoga, Lu Miaoyun, and Ling Zixiao, no one else knew of his trip. Everyone believed he had been in closed-door cultivation at home. That was exactly what Lu Changsheng had intended. He did not want anyone to suspect that he had gone to the Purple Shadow secret realm during his time away. Upon arriving at the mansion, Lu Changsheng routinely inquired about his wives, concubines, and children before hosting a family banquet to stir up a bit of excitement. Chu Zhenjin saw her son, Lu Chuanjin, return and asked him what he had been doing these days. Lu Chuanjin had already prepared a reason, saying that he had been busy on White Tiger Mountain. Although the affairs of White Tiger Mountain had been handed over to Lu Qingsong, Chu Zhenjin, who generally wasn't concerned with household affairs, didn't question his explanation further, only telling him to take good care of himself and be cautious when away from home. After the lively home events, Lu Changsheng received the ancient beast taming charm from Lu Miaoyun. He then took out an elder ancestor of the Su family's false core and asked aloud, Hong Lian, can an inner core like this still be used? As he wanted Hong Lian to guide the cultivation of his children, Lu Changsheng usually entrusted Lu Miaoyun with handling the ancient beast taming charm. Lu Miaoyun only knew it contained a senior expert's presence, not much else. Master, this demon core has been condensed into a false core, mixing demonic power with mana, and it can no longer be used for core formation, unless cultivated using the same cultivation method as this person. There's only a 20 to 30% chance of condensing a false core, Hong Lian replied. As I thought, Lu Changsheng nodded. He too had sensed that the inner core's energy was mixed and chaotic. Not to mention core formation, even using it for alchemy could easily lead to problems. Since that's the case, does this kind of inner core serve any other purpose? Lu Changsheng continued to inquire. A core like this can be used to craft thunderstorm pearls, which are quite powerful. Otherwise, it can be used to feed demon beasts. Hong Lian explained the uses of this type of inner core. Thunderstorm pearls? Lu Changsheng raised an eyebrow, immediately thinking of the heavenly thunder pearl. That's right. Hong Lian explained to Lu Changsheng about such thunderstorm pearls, which operate on a principle similar to that of the heavenly thunder pearl. Just by adding some materials, and through special methods, the inner core is brought to the brink of explosion. When utilized against an enemy, it could trigger the energy within the inner core to cause an explosion and injure others. Should this inner core belong to the lightning attribute then? Can the 9 netherhound and 6-winged golden silkworm consume it for refinement? Lu Changsheng continued to inquire. If it could be used to feed demon beasts, he would definitely choose to nourish demon beasts rather than craft any thunderstorm pearls. Master, have you forgotten? The talisman can extract energy from the demon core and transform it into spiritual liquid. Hong Lian's voice was light and graceful, very captivating. I had indeed forgotten about that for a moment. Since that's the case, you take this inner core, Lu Changxing chuckled. Normally, his pet beasts and the Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon were left to roam freely, which caused him to momentarily forget the effects of the ancient beast taming charm. Hong Lian responded, causing the ancient beast taming charm to emit a rosy glow and swallow the inner core. By the way, Hong Lian, the six-winged golden silkworm has very low intelligence. Do you have a way to make it recognize a master? At that moment, Lu Changxing thought of his six-winged golden silkworm, pausing suddenly and asking out loud. Recognize a master? Hong Lian sounded a bit surprised. She could tell that the six-winged golden silkworm had acknowledged Lu Changxing as its master, but they had not formed a certain contract. Indeed, the six-winged golden silkworm is naturally fierce and brutal, with low intelligence, making it difficult to tame. Apart from me, no one else can control it. So I wanted to recognize someone else as its master. Do you have a way? Lu Changxing nodded. Although the six-winged golden silkworm was impressive, it had limited utility for him. And now it was of no use at all. These years, it had been kept in an ancient beast taming charm. If it hadn't come up in conversation just now, he would have almost forgotten about this pet beast's existence. Thus, Lu Changxing thought of giving the six-winged golden silkworm to his son, Lu Chuanjin. After all, this son had been so promising and had even given him a 5 elements fruit before. As a father, he hadn't yet given him any rare or precious gifts. In that case, he would give him the six-winged golden silkworm. This would provide his son with an additional card up his sleeve when traveling outside. But the six-winged golden silkworm was not like the 9 netherhound. Even if he made the six-winged golden silkworm obedient, it could still go out of control in Lu Quanzhen's hands. Although this golden silkworm is fierce and low in spiritual intelligence, it's still under the young master's control. If paired with the ancient beast taming charm, it's worth a try. Hong Lian spoke up. The ancient beast taming charm not only nourished demon beasts, but it also had an effect on taming them. And she knew many methods of taming demon beasts. Good. Lu Changxing nodded. He planned to have Lu Chuanjin try to contract this six-winged golden silkworm once he made a breakthrough in Foundation establishment. By Yun Peak. In a small courtyard. Chuanjin, just focus on cultivating peacefully at home during this time. If you're about to hit Foundation establishment or if there's anything else, come directly to me. Lu Changxing told his son Lu Chuanjin. Yes, father. Lu Chuanjin nodded in response. After giving instructions, Lu Changxing then went to the puppet workshop, found his other son Lu Pingan who was watching puppet crafting, and said, Pingan, come with me. Dad. Lu Pingan immediately nodded in response and followed Lu Changxing to a small courtyard. Once the 100 refinements treasure body art breaks through the 5th layer, you can further refine your skull, rib bones, spine, limbs to gain certain abilities, just like your current mountain opener. So, if you are comfortable using this magical treasures effect, you can choose to base your cultivation on this treasures effect. Lu Changxing began guiding his son on the subsequent elements of 100 refinements treasure body art and the aspects of technique and magical powers. After teaching the cultivation method, he gave elder ancestor of the Su family's thunderstorm ring and the damaged halberd they had obtained with Li Feiyu at the tungsten mine to Lu Pingan for condensing into his body. Ah, 2 magical treasures. Lu Pingan looked stunned as his father suddenly produced 2 magical treasures for him to integrate into his body for cultivation. After all, these were magical treasures. Just use them if I tell you to, and you can see the effects of the magical treasures for yourself. That's what Lu Changxing said. Then, he handed over a jade slip to Lu Pingan and said, by the way, about the cultivation methods, what do you think about this Black Dragon Codex? Previously, Lu Pingan had mentioned cultivating the Purple True Solar Scripture, asking if he wanted to switch to a more powerful cultivation method. Hearing this, Lu Changxing naturally thought it was necessary. But with so many cultivation methods at home, not many suited Lu Pingan. Besides martial path and body refinement, where Lu Pingan had some talent, he was quite average in other areas. So, after much consideration, Lu Changxing thought of the Black Dragon Codex. Besides, Lu Changxing had always hoped that one of his children would cultivate the Black Dragon Codex. If Lu Pingan could succeed in cultivating this method, he could also take charge of the family's Blackwater Jialongdao troops in the future. After all, Bai Ling's personality was truly a bit too frivolous to be in control of the Blackwater Jialongdao troops. Black Dragon Codex? Lu Pingan took the jade slip to examine it after hearing his father. Yes, this cultivation method involves dual cultivation of magical and physical aspects. Once cultivated to great success, one can transform into a black dragon. The only downside is that advancing through realms will affect fertility. Although it doesn't completely prevent progeny, trying to conceive after cultivating it will be many times more difficult than normal. Lu Changxing spoke up, saying this. Chapter 984, Lu Chuanjin Foundation Establishment, Yin Yang Creation Scripture. Chapter 984, Chapter 352, Lu Chuanjin Foundation Establishment, Yin Yang Creation Scripture. With a breakthrough in realm, is it several times more difficult to have children? Although Lu Pingan had not yet started a family, he was rather traditional and felt that he still needed to settle down in the future. If he settled down, naturally, he would want 1 or 2 children. Preferably 1 boy and 1 girl. However, it was only making extending the line difficult, not impossible. He nodded without saying much. His mind was immersed in the cultivation technique jade slip, reviewing its contents. After a long while, Lu Pingan roughly understood the Black Dragon Codex. The purpose of its techniques was to observe the transformations of a true dragon. During cultivation, one would condense dragon scales, dragon skin, dragon tendons, dragon bones, and dragon blood, ultimately achieving great success by transforming into a black dragon. Its physical body was formidable, comparable to that of the dragon clan demonic beasts. It was precisely for this reason that human flesh and bones would undergo dragonification, thus making it difficult to extend the line. Apart from this drawback, Lu Pingan was very tempted by the Black Dragon Codex. Because although this technique involved magical dual cultivation, it was 3 parts chi refinement and 7 parts body refinement. He had the foundation of the 100 refinements treasure body art, and if he cultivated this technique, he could skip many body hardening steps and thus progress rapidly. If you think it's suitable, you can try cultivating it. If it doesn't work, I will think of another way, Lu Changxing said. Chi refinement breaking through to the foundation establishment realm was particularly important. Naturally, he wanted his son to cultivate a top-level technique. Dad, I'll give it a try, Lu Pingan said solemnly. But after saying this, he somewhat embarrassedly scratched his head and asked Lu Changxing, Dad, there should be elixir medicines and heaven and earth spiritual materials in the cultivation world that can increase fertility, right? Hee. Lu Changxing was amused by his son's words and said with a laugh, not only are there such elixir medicines and spiritual materials, but there are also secret techniques for this purpose. Do you need them now? If you do, I can teach you. Since he had given his son this technique to cultivate, he naturally took this aspect into consideration. Currently, he had a secret technique, the 5 aggregates proliferation method, which could increase the likelihood of pregnancy. If Lu Pingan was prepared to have children when he had already broken through to core formation and this technique was not sufficient, by then, he would also be able to obtain elixir medicines and heavenly and earthly treasures that could boost fertility, even guaranteeing offspring. No need, I was just asking, Lu Pingan quickly waved his hand, dispelling the last few concerns in his heart. Subsequently, Lu Changxing taught Lu Pingan how to cultivate the Black Dragon Codex. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. After settling things with his 2 sons and generally taking care of family affairs, Lu Changxing found his daughter, Lu Wangshu, and prepared to take her on a trip to the Luoyun mountain range. After all, he had previously promised to take his precious daughter out to play and to visit Xiaoxia. But it had been delayed because of the Purple Shadow secret realm. Now that he had time, he naturally took his daughter out to explore and gain some world experience. Bui, Lu Wangshu was feeding her younger sister, Lu Lingyi. Although this little daughter was only 2.5 years old, she was very nimble. Ao Wu, she opened her mouth wide to eat chestnuts one by one. Lu Changxing saw this scene, immediately went up and knocked a chestnut on his daughter's head, saying irritably, "Lu Wangshu, what do you think you are doing to Xiaohe?" He and Ling Zixiao had already felt that daughter Lu Lingyi was somewhat dull and not very bright. If Ling Zixiao saw her precious daughter being teased by Lu Wangshu like this, it would probably upset her a lot. But Xiaohe clearly looks very happy. Lu Wangshu immediately covered her head, huffed, and said discontentedly, "Da, ao wu." Lu Lingyi saw Lu Changxing and immediately called out, her chubby cute little face adorable. "Lingyi, come here, daddy will hold you." Lu Changxing picked up his daughter, pinching her chubby tender cheeks. "Daddy, I want to eat chestnuts." Lu Lingyi pointed at the chestnuts in Lu Wangshu's hands and said in a baby voice. As Lu Changxing had guessed, Lu Lingyi inherited the body refinement talent of the dragon roar physique. So it was evident now that her body was much better than that of ordinary toddlers. But it also caused her to eat a lot more than ordinary children, being very gluttonous on a daily basis. Her brother, Lu Lingxiao, on the other hand, did not have this condition. "Okay." Lu Changxing took the chestnuts from his daughter Lu Wangshu's hands and gently fed them to his daughter. But after feeding her a few, he thought of the way Lu Wangshu had been feeding her and found it very amusing, and he couldn't help but try. He asked his daughter Lu Lingyi to stay put while he tossed them into her mouth. "Ao wu, ao wu." Watching his daughter's lively and joyful face, Lu Changxing couldn't help but smile, finding it very amusing. But the next moment, he saw not far away, his daughter Lu Wangshu looking at him with a disdainful and contemptuous face. "Cough, cough, Lingyi must be tired, here, have some water." Lu Changxing coughed softly and handed a cup of water to his daughter. Then he took out a bottle of spiritual dew from his storage ring and offered it to his daughter Lu Wangshu. "Here, Wangshu." "Hee, daddy, isn't it fun?" A smile immediately appeared on Lu Wangshu's face, and she giggled. "I told you to take more care of Lingyi, hoping that you sisters would get along well, not for you to play around." Lu Changxing said irritably, "If Aunt Zixiao sees, see what she would say to you." "La la la," Lu Wangshu made a funny face. She used to be quite afraid of Ling Zixiao. But after spending more time together over the past 2 years, she found that Ling Zixiao was actually quite gentle. "I'm now free, and am ready to take you to the Luoyun mountain range. Do you need to prepare anything?" Lu Changxing said helplessly, shaking his head. "Ah, so soon?" Excitement appeared on Lu Wangshu's face. Then after pondering for a moment, she said, It seems there is nothing I need to prepare, Daddy, I'm ready to go anytime." Chapter 985, Lu Chuanjin establishes foundation, Yin Yang creation scripture. Chapter 985, Chapter 352, Lu Chuanjin establishes foundation, Yin Yang creation scripture. "Okay, since that's the case, let's do it tomorrow." Lu Changxing looked at his daughter, Lu Lingyi, in his arms and spoke out. He then went to find his son, Lu Lingxiao, with his daughter, Lu Lingyi, in his arms. Although this son was twins with Lu Lingyi, his personality was entirely different from Lu Ling's lively nature. He was of a quiet disposition, and he found novelty in reading, alchemy, talisman making, puppets, and so on. And this son wasn't very fond of Lu Wangshu. Or rather, he thought this sister was always acting improperly all day long and seemed childish and boring. The next day, after mentioning it to Lu Miaoyun and Lu Miaoge, Lu Changxing took his daughter, Lu Wangshu, and left by Lake Mountain. The Luoyun mountain range was at the border of the Qingyun region and the Luoxia sect, a considerable distance from Bai Lake Mountain, taking over a month to reach. However, this trip was meant for leisure, and Lu Changxing didn't rush the entire journey, allowing Lu Wangshu to wander and enjoy herself along the way. At this moment, on the shimmering sea surface, a beautiful young girl around 17 or 18 years old, wearing a light pink dress, was holding a fishing rod, seemingly fishing. "Lu Wangshu, can you tell me how this is any different from fishing at home?" Lu Changxing, looking at the daughter who was quietly fishing in front of him, couldn't help but finally speak up. They were originally on their way. Suddenly, Lu Wangshu said she felt inspired and that the opportunity for a breakthrough had arrived. Then the daughter came here to fish in serenity for her breakthrough. But after fishing for more than an hour without any sign of a breakthrough, Lu Changxing was getting impatient. If you're going to have a breakthrough, do it properly. What's with the fishing? Shoo. Lu Wangshu put her slender, jade-white finger to her lips, signaling Lu Changxing to be quiet. The fish is hooked. A moment later, Lu Wangshu stood up and lifted the fishing rod. As waves splashed on the glittering sea surface, a carp was caught by Lu Wangshu. At the same moment, a surge of spiritual power spread from within Lu Wangshu, forming a spiritual pressure aura that caused the nature's spiritual energy to swirl around. Lu Changxing was startled, looking at his beautiful and enchanting daughter in silence. All right, if you want to play, so it is. Are you really trying to defy your father? After a moment, a surge of spiritual pressure emerged, and Lu Wangshu broke through from the 5th level to the 6th level energy refinement. Daddy, cultivation is about cultivating the mind. You need a calm heart, a tranquil spirit, and patience. Lu Wangshu, wearing her light pink dress and smiling buoyantly, said with an air of a fairy. All right, fairy maiden Wangshu, what you say makes sense. Lu Changxing was charmed into laughter by his own daughter. He realized that as long as he was with this daughter, he found it challenging to maintain his composure. Goose, seeing her father looking like this, Lu Wangshu immediately let out an unrestrained laugh. You stabilize your realm a bit, and we'll set off later. Lu Changxing said somewhat helplessly. And so, the two took 2 months to reach the Luoyun mountain range. At this time, Xianxia was busy and didn't have much time. After a few days, Xianxia finally managed to squeeze in some time to reunite with the two at a small marketplace nearby. With Lu Wangshu, this third will present, Lu Changxing got hardly any time to practice the sun-moon samsara technique with Xianxia. He planned in his heart that the next time he came to the Luoyun mountain range, he would come alone without his daughter. Since the Luoyun mountain range was still in a semi-locked state, Lu Changxing didn't mention wanting to go to the mountain's secret realm. After half a month of reuniting with Xianxia, he then took his daughter back to Bai Lake Mountain, exploring and enjoying the scenery along the way. When Lu Changxing and Lu Wangshu returned to Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Chuanjin had already started his foundation establishment assault. Although the sun breaking through to foundation establishment was almost a sure thing, as a father, Lu Changxing still watched over him in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Considering that after his son's foundation establishment, he would be traveling out, Lu Changxing went to the Lu family mansion, brought Chu Zhenjin to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, and told her about Lu Quanzhen's foundation establishment attempt. After all, the travels following the son's foundation establishment would last at least several years, or perhaps even over a decade. He couldn't always keep it hidden from his wife. Besides, Chu Zhenjin wasn't that naive. It would be better to tell her directly that their son was very talented, not an ordinary person, and she shouldn't worry too much, but instead, let the child go out. Chuanjin is breaking through to foundation establishment. Chu Zhenjin arrived in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, and after hearing Lu Changxing's words, she looked at Lu Chuanjin, who was attempting foundation establishment inside the wooden house, with surprise on her face. She previously had heard from her daughter, Lu Caizhen, about her son's cultivation level. She knew that Lu Chuanjin was at the 9th level energy refinement. But she hadn't expected her son to attempt foundation establishment so soon. He didn't even tell me a word about such a big event. Chu Zhenjin's heart was initially filled with joy but felt slightly aggrieved. She felt that the son should have told her, the mother, about the significant event of foundation establishment. Just like when her son achieved the 9th level energy refinement, if it weren't for her daughter Lu Caizhen telling her, she would have been unaware. Husband, how certain is Quanzhen's breakthrough in foundation establishment? Is there a possibility of failure? Is failure very dangerous? Chu Zhenjin then began to worry about her son's situation and asked for details. Although there were already several who achieved foundation establishment in the Lu family, she had always thought foundation establishment to be very grand and prestigious and believed that attempting it was extremely difficult and fraught with danger. Don't worry, Quanzhen's attempt at foundation establishment is very likely to be successful, and there won't be any accidents. Lu Changxing chuckled lightly and spoke. Then he embraced his beloved wife, sat down beside her, and softly said, "Jinjin, actually, Chuanjin is very outstanding, far more so than we imagined." Husband, Chu Jinjin paused, pursed her lips slightly, lifted her head gracefully, and looking at Lu Changxing, she spoke softly, "I know Chuanjin is outstanding." Chapter 986, Lu Quanzhen's Foundation Establishment, Yin-Yang Creation Scripture. Chapter 986, Chapter 352, Lu Quanzhen's Foundation Establishment, Yin-Yang Creation Scripture. He has always been decisive since he was a child, studied diligently, and could do everything well. I didn't have to worry as a mother. I know he has always aspired to explore the outside world, wanting to achieve success in cultivation, but I just worry that Chuanjin might encounter some danger. Chu Jinjin snuggled in Lu Changsheng's arms, her beautiful eyes slightly reddened. She was simple-hearted, but that didn't mean she was naive. As a mother, how could she possibly be completely unaware of her son's various circumstances? Even if she couldn't discern much, chatting with her children, Lu Miaoyun, and Ling Zixiao usually, she knew her son's situation. Her past experiences had made her wish only for her children's safety, without the desire for them to achieve great success. Therefore, she was very concerned that one day her son might encounter dangers outside, disappear without a trace like her brother. Sigh. Lu Changxing let out a sigh, his fingers interlocked with his wife's tender palms, his chin resting on her silky hair, and he spoke, "Home is good, but it's not the life that Chuanjin wants. A pond can't raise a flood dragon. Since Chuanjin has such aspirations, we as parents should support him. After all, I believe that Chuanjin will be able to carve out his own place in the cultivation world, and I am here to support him." Lu Changxing comforted his wife in a warm voice. Chu Jinjin cuddled in Lu Changsheng's arms, softly responding without saying anything further. She had long known that her husband and her son Lu Chuanjin were on the same side, keeping things from her. Half a month later, Lu Changxing suddenly felt a surge of rich mana entering his body, turning into droplets of liquid mana within his chi ocean core. This mana propelled his cultivation to the peak of the 7th level, and it wouldn't take long before he could attempt to reach the 8th layer of foundation establishment. At the same time, the system notification arrived as expected. Congratulations to the host for the first offspring's breakthrough to the foundation establishment stage. Bloodline effect, spiritual body inheritance rate increased by 1%, and 1 advanced lottery chance awarded. He's made the breakthrough. Lu Changsheng's body shook with excitement, knowing that his son Lu Chuanjin had achieved his foundation establishment. The first second-generation foundation establishment of the Lu family had been born. What surprised him the most was not only the advanced lottery obtained from his son's breakthrough, but also a bloodline effect that increased the spiritual body inheritance rate. Although it was only 1%, that was a spiritual body. Moreover, as more and more children achieved foundation establishment, this bloodline effect could be stacked and increased. The spiritual body inheritance rate. I already possess multiple spiritual bodies, naturally bringing a certain inheritance rate. With this effect of increased inheritance rate, if those children's mother also possesses a spiritual body, wouldn't it mean there's a high probability for our children to have spiritual bodies? Lu Changxing was thrilled at the thought. After all, middle-grade spiritual roots, even top-grade spiritual roots, were no longer significant. Having both a spiritual root and a spiritual body was the true path to power. System, start the lottery. Seeing that his son still needed time to consolidate his cultivation, and would not be able to appear for a while, Lu Changxing silently prepared to have a draw. The advanced lottery will emerge. I hope it's something good this time, not the Brahmin demon true saint technique kind of trash. Lu Changxing inhaled deeply, muttering to himself. The Brahmin demon true saint technique from last time was potent, but useless to him, causing much frustration. He hoped that with the previous letdown as a cushion, this lottery would be more generous. The lottery will started spinning. Under Lu Changsheng's watchful eye, the golden light finally stopped on the Cultivation Technique Classics reward category. Huh? Another technique? Lu Changsheng's heart skipped a beat. Then, a jade scroll icon emerged from the lottery wheel along with a system notification. Ding! Congratulations to the host for acquiring the Yin Yang Creation Classic technique. Reward has been delivered to the system space. The host can check at any time. Yin Yang Creation Classic? Does this name seem like it might be a dual cultivation technique? Upon seeing the name of the technique, and recalling the Yin Yang Harmony technique he obtained before, Lu Chengsheng's mood suddenly became heavier. If it was a supplemental dual cultivation technique, wouldn't he have wasted another advanced lottery attempt? He immediately looked toward the system space. Cultivation technique, Yin Yang Creation Classic, grade, true immortal level, description, a legacy technique from the Yin Yang Immortal Palace. Its cultivation requirements are extremely strict, and one must be guided by the Yin Yang energies to cultivate it. Upon successful cultivation, it can differentiate Yin from Yang, create all things, and invert the universe. It seems it's not a dual cultivation technique but rather an ultimate technique rooted in the Yin-Yang Great Path. Lu Chengsheng pondered as he read the description of the technique, a frown forming on his brow. Seeing that the cultivation conditions were extremely strict and required the guidance of the Yin-Yang energies, his brows couldn't help but furrow. The Brahman Demon True Saint technique he had obtained before was just like this, a heap of strict conditions that made the technique something one could only look at but not cultivate. System, inheritance. Lu Chengsheng didn't indulge in wild and fanciful thoughts and used the technique. Immediately, the method of cultivating the Yin-Yang Creation Classic and its related content poured into Lu Chengsheng's mind like a stream of ambrosia. Lu Chengsheng closed his eyes and immersed his mental spirit, quietly contemplating the true immortal level technique in his mind. Such a mysterious technique, despite its system-inherited introduction, still required a long time to digest. As expected of a true immortal level technique, indeed they are all out of the ordinary, far beyond what orthodox level techniques can compare to. After a long while, Lu Chengsheng, as if awakening from a dream, opened his eyes and muttered to himself. As a true immortal level technique, this Yin-Yang Creation Classic, like the Brahman Demon True Saint technique, belonged to a type of technique that could be cultivated up to ascension to immortality. And this technique was also not some dual cultivation absorption technique. As he had guessed, it was an ultimate technique based on the Yin and Yang. Even without starting cultivation, merely relying on the content passed down by the system, Lu Chengsheng knew that this technique far surpassed his current 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture. Supernatural techniques. Mana foundations. The intent behind the cultivation technique. All overwhelmingly surpass orthodox level techniques. He even felt that the Yin-Yang Creation Classic was much more profound and esoteric than the Brahman Demon True Saint technique he had obtained before. Yin and Yang nurturing, dominating all methods, this Yin-Yang Creation Classic seems quite suitable for me. Lu Chengsheng quietly contemplated the Yin-Yang Creation Classic in his mind. Though the Yin-Yang Creation Classic was not a technique primarily focused on dual cultivation, but as a technique based on the Yin-Yang Great Path that encompasses all things, it still contains many aspects of the path of Yin and Yang dual cultivation. It could be called extremely suitable for someone like him who has Tao companions, and multiple Tao companions at that. Moreover, Lu Chengsheng noticed another effect in the technique dominating all methods. It allowed one to cultivate many techniques or cultivate different methods, maintaining balance, and even utilizing treasures of the void to transform one's own cultivated mana into corresponding demonic or demon race techniques. Lu Chengsheng realized that if he managed to cultivate this Yin-Yang Creation Classic, he wouldn't need to perform Buddhist and demonic dual cultivation in the future and could directly cultivate the Brahman Demon True Saint technique. In addition, Lu Chengsheng even saw hope in addressing Ling Zixio's and his daughter Lu Ling's dragon roar physique. Regarding this technique, Lu Chengsheng became more and more enthused as he read, feeling that it was very suitable for himself. However, to cultivate this technique, it's necessary to be guided by the Yin-Yang Qi. Lu Chengsheng took a deep breath and looked at his Yin-Yang 5 elements foundation base. The base was as exquisite as a jade disc, with radiant and bright halos showcasing the colors of the 5 elements. Surrounding the disc, a small Yin-Yang fish swam around in loops. According to the Yin-Yang creation classic records, this Yin-Yang Qi is caught by great spiritual adepts during the transition of Yin and Yang in the world, extracting the origin source, and after all kinds of sacrifices, a wisp can finally be formed. Other than this method, there is also one type of Taoist body named Yin-Yang Taoist body, which has the Yin-Yang Qi since birth. But both of these are unrealistic for me, unattainable. Theoretically, the Yin-Yang energies of my Tao foundation also count as Yin-Yang Qi. I wonder if they might meet the requirements. Lu Changxing felt that the Yin-Yang creation classic was highly suitable for himself. But such a technique wasn't something one could cultivate just because one wanted to. Techniques like the 7 Luminaries Great Freedom Sword Scripture, 100 Refinements Treasure Body Art, 99 Mystical Talisman Scripture, etc., only required comprehension. The requirements regarding talent were general. Whereas the Brahman Demon True Saint technique in this Yin-Yang creation classic not only had extremely high demands on comprehension, but also had strict requirements on talent, external factors, and more. It's still Yin-Yang energies, it's worth a try. If I can cultivate this Yin-Yang creation classic, it will be of tremendous benefit to me and I will no longer have to worry about techniques in the future. Lu Changxing took a deep breath and decided to try switching to this technique later. Though his current technique switching greatly delayed his cultivation and wasted time, it would also affect the Tai Dao seed in Lu Maiage's Dantian, impacting Lu Maiage's practice. But in Lu Changsheng's view, as long as he could cultivate the Yin-Yang creation classic, it was all worth it. Chapter 987, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Foundation Establishment Elixir Again. Chapter 987, Chapter 353, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Foundation Establishment Elixir Again. Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Inside a wooden hut. Is this foundation establishment? Lu Chuanjin sat cross-legged, his eyes suddenly opened wide, gleaming with black and golden luster. Behind him, an astonishing phenomenon emerged, a boundless ocean with a kunpeng shifting between fish and bird, vague and revealing a terrifying and domineering aura. After a long time, the phenomenon faded, and Lu Chuanjin stood up, his eyes bright and piercing. From qi refinement to foundation establishment, he was like a great fish leaping out of the sea, transforming into a peng bird and soaring into the sky. Although the foundation establishment stage was just the beginning of cultivation, he had a long journey ahead of him. But he believed that one day, he would soar 90,000 miles just like a kunpeng. Knowing that his father was waiting outside, Lu Chuanjin did not revel in his experience. He walked out of the hut and greeted Lu Changxing with clasped hands. "Father. Well done, my son Chuanjin, you indeed have the makings of a true immortal." Lu Changxing watched his son, who had just succeeded in breaking through to foundation establishment, yet remained calm and composed, and a smile spread across his face. At this moment, Lu Chuanjin had just broken through, and his mana aura was not yet fully controlled. He could sense the terrifying, domineering aura within his son's body. This intense and terrifying aura contrasted starkly with Lu Quanzhen's refined and elegant demeanor. He took out a bottle of elixir medicines from his storage ring and tossed it to his son. This pill is called the Purple Mansion Elixir. It purifies the soul, clears the physical body, and strengthens the divine sense and physique. It is a gift from your father. Purple Mansion Elixir? Strengthen the divine sense? Lu Chuanjin caught the elixir. Divine sense was very important for a cultivator. Whether in cultivation, fighting techniques, or other aspects, divine sense could play a significant role. Therefore, he knew that this bottle of elixir medicine his father gave him was no ordinary item. "Thank you, father." Lu Chuanjin slightly bowed. "Once you have refined the Purple Mansion elixir, your father has other gifts for you," Lu Changxing said, smiling. He then patted his son on the shoulder. "Let's go. Although we won't announce your foundation establishment publicly, we should still inform your mother." Lu Changxing had no plans to publicize his son's foundation establishment. On one hand, his son was low-key and disliked fanfare. On the other hand, it was to avoid unnecessary trouble. After all, Lu Chuanjin was only 33 years old. At this age, achieving foundation establishment was considered genius even among immortal sects. Placed within the family forces like at Bihu Lake Mountain, it was extremely astonishing. Bihu Lake Mountain had already been under the spotlight these years, so it was better to keep a low profile, benefiting both the family and Lu Chuanjin. Okay. Lu Chuanjin nodded. He then went with Lu Changxing to pay respects to his mother. Chu Zhenjin was very happy to learn of her son's breakthrough to foundation establishment and even thought about organizing a foundation establishment ceremony. However, Lu Changxing suggested postponing it and keeping the celebration simple within the family. He also advised Chu Zhenjin not to spread the news of Lu Quanzhen's foundation establishment. Aside from Lu Miaoyun and others, the other concubines should not be told. As for early wives and concubines like Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaoyun, and Chu Zhenjin, Lu Changxing trusted them greatly. However, he could not fully trust the family direct daughters who married into the family later. It wasn't that they had ill intentions toward Bihu Lake Mountain, but they might spread some news about Bihu Lake Mountain back to their homes and to the outside world. Okay. Chu Zhenjin understood this principle and did not mind too much about the foundation establishment ceremony, her face full of joy. After all, her son had become a foundation establishment great cultivator. He was the first among the second generation of the Lu family to achieve foundation establishment, marking a moment worth commemorating. Even though she was never competitive, at this moment, she could not help but feel overwhelmingly happy and proud. Night fell. Lu Changxing arranged a family banquet. Lu Miaoge, Lu Miaohuan, Lu Miaoyun, Lu Yun, Lu Wangshu, Lu Caizhen, and other wives and children attended to celebrate Lu Quanzhen's foundation establishment. After the simple celebration, Lu Changxing thought of the myriad spirits bottle that had gathered another drop of myriad spirits heaven dew. He gave this drop of myriad spirits heaven dew to Chu Zhenjin's auspicious tree, aiding her in her breakthrough to foundation establishment. Regarding the matter of myriad spirits heaven dew, Lu Changxing did not conceal it from his son, Lu Chuanjin. He directly told him about this treasure and expressed that in the future, if he encountered any rare spiritual medicine or seeds of worldly treasures outside, he must not miss them and should bring them back home. Following that, Lu Changxing had Ling Zixiao and Mount Sumru conceal the movements and actions while pouring the myriad spirits heaven dew onto the auspicious tree. With Lu Miao's precedent, he was not overly concerned this time. Lu Chuanjin watched for a while, and seeing nothing amiss, he excused himself to return to his own dwelling for closed-door cultivation to consolidate his realm. He had just broken through today and hadn't had the chance to familiarize himself or master his new powers. Moreover, after his breakthrough to foundation establishment, he could comprehend the subsequent techniques of the 5 elements Kunpeng technique, the Yin-Yang 5 elements Kunpeng technique, and he did not want to waste time. Lu Changxing, preoccupied with his Yin-Yang creation classic, did not wait by his son's side. He let Lu Miaoyun watch over Chu Zhenjin and returned to Changxing Hall himself to attempt to cultivate this technique. In Changxing Hall, inside the cave mansion, Lu Changxing sat solemnly, wrapped in an aura of dignity and tranquility. Yin-Yang energies wrapped around him, setting him apart remarkably, resembling a banished immortal, sacred and serene, shrouded in a profound aura. After a long time, the yin-yang energies slowly dissipated, and Lu Changxing slowly opened his eyes. He had just used the yin-yang energies from his yin-yang 5 elements foundation base to attempt to cultivate the yin-yang creation classic. The good news was, yin-yang energies belonged to the yin-yang qi. Additionally, his yin-yang 5 elements foundation base was highly compatible with this yin-yang creation classic. The bad news was, although the yin-yang energies belonged to yin-yang qi, there was a significant gap between the two. Chapter 988, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Another Foundation Establishment Elixir. Chapter 988, Chapter 353, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Another Foundation Establishment Elixir. Thinking of relying on the yin-yang energies of the Tao Foundation to transform and cultivate the yin-yang creation classic was exceedingly arduous. If I could gather 7 or 8 yin-yang attribute spirit body origins to supplement my yin-yang energies, maybe I could meet the standard of this yin-yang qi. Lu Changxing reflected on his Tao Foundation's characteristics. yin-yang energies could grow by absorbing spirit body origins. However, spirit bodies were already rare to come by. Spirit bodies with yin-yang attributes were even rarer. What's more, they needed to be from female cultivators who would provide their spirit body origins to him. Although my yin-yang energies are somewhat weak, they can regenerate continuously, theoretically, as long as I meticulously consume yin-yang energies to transform my entire Bodhis mana into yin-yang magic power through persistence. I would slowly refine this yin-yang creation classic. Lu Changxing pondered silently within his heart. Since the quality was insufficient, he would compensate with quantity. Once his yin-yang energies were depleted, they could mostly recover after about 10 to 15 days. Furthermore, he could also transfer these yin-yang energies through dual cultivation into Lu Miaoge or Ling Zi Shao's body to nurture and strengthen them. Thus, as long as he was willing to spend the time and deal with the inconvenience, he could still cultivate this scripture. Although this process is very troublesome and will delay my cultivation for a long time, once I successfully switch to cultivating this, I will essentially establish an unrivaled immortal foundation, and I won't have to worry about foundational issues as I progress toward becoming an immortal. And switching cultivation techniques is better done sooner rather than later. Even if I don't switch to cultivating the yin-yang creation classic now, I will have to consider it in the future. After taking a deep breath, Lu Changxing exhaled slowly. Although he could initially practice the 7 luminaries' great freedom sword scripture, wait until core formation, nascent soul, and even divinity transformation to consider switching cultivation techniques once the conditions permit. But switching at that time not only affects the foundation, makes the effort doubly hard, but it's also very troublesome. Thus, switching cultivation techniques should be done as early as possible. Moreover, the yin-yang creation classic is truly suitable for him. Lu Changxing felt that it would be difficult to come across another scripture so suited for him in the future. Even if he did, who knows what stringent conditions the techniques might have and whether he could cultivate them. Let's cultivate it. It's just a bit more troublesome and time-consuming. After all, not long from now, Qing Shan and Pingan will also gradually reach foundation establishment, and I don't need to spend time on my cultivation, I just need to peaceably switch to cultivating this technique. Lu Changxing made up his mind and stepped out of the cave mansion. Due to the influence of Tai Yi life water technique, his fate was closely linked to Lu Miaoge. His switch to cultivating this technique would inevitably affect Lu Miaoge's cultivation. Moreover, during the process of switching, he would need Lu Miaoge's assistance. Thus, he naturally had to inform Lu Miaoge about this matter and discuss it together. However, theoretically, once he switched his cultivation to the yin-yang creation classic, the Tai Dao seed within Lu Miaoge would also reach a higher level, bringing many benefits. Switching cultivation techniques? When Lu Miaoge heard what Lu Changxing said, she was quite surprised. For a cultivator, the significance of a cultivation technique was naturally indubitable. Under suitable conditions, all cultivators would determine their main cultivation techniques before foundation establishment or core formation. She knew the cultivation technique practiced by Lu Changxing was called the 7 luminary sword scripture, a top-level technique, extraordinary. Now, in good conditions, Lu Changxing was talking about switching cultivation techniques. However, she knew Lu Changxing understood more about this aspect than herself and did not ask for reasons. Alright, there's nothing going on at home right now, Changxing. If you want to switch cultivation techniques, just focus on that. I won't be affected or delayed here, I just happen to have time to stay at home and look after things. Lu Miaoge, whose beautiful face was pure and refined, spoke gently. She had switched cultivation techniques twice during the Qi refinement realm. She knew that the higher the realm, the more troublesome switching cultivation techniques became. Additionally, halfway through transforming the mana during the switch, it would impact the combat capabilities. Alright. Seeing his wife's gentle and considerate support, Lu Changxing smiled. Immediately thereafter, he explained his situation, stating that his cultivation technique was quite troublesome, requiring yin-yang energies as the catalyst. So, for a long time coming, he would be unable to use yin-yang energies to nurture Lu Miaoge's Dao foundation and Dao seed. She would also need to nourish the yin-yang energies with the universal mother Qi. For these, Lu Miaoge naturally had no issues or concerns and fully supported Lu Changxing. After discussing the matter of switching cultivation techniques with his wife and sharing a tender moment, Lu Changxing also started to do something important, preparing to make pills. Refining the foundation establishment elixir. Because the family had collected auxiliary materials for the foundation establishment pills early on. Now that they had the main medicine, the heavenly spirit fruit, it was just right to start a batch of foundation establishment elixirs. With this batch of foundation establishment elixirs, Lu Changxing could enable Xia Zizhu and Li Xingrua to achieve foundation establishment. Both women, one having a spirit-nurturing physique and the other being a second-order alchemist. If they achieved breakthroughs in foundation establishment, it would bring tremendous benefits to the family. Especially Xia Zizhu, who had given birth to 4 children, 3 with middle-grade spiritual roots and 1 with a high-grade spiritual root. If she achieved foundation establishment, the effect of the spirit-nurturing physique might further improve. Lu Changxing came out of the cave heaven and arrived at Lu family mansion, learning that his wife Chu Zhenjin had not managed to break through foundation establishment and was still somewhat short. Regarding this, Lu Changxing wasn't overly concerned. Previously, Lu Miaoyan successfully practiced the heavenly longevity technique, directly breaking through to the 9th level energy refinement. Chu Zhenjin practiced the heavenly longevity technique, only breaking through to the 8th level energy refinement. Moreover, Lu Miaoyan had been cultivating with the luminous treasure tree for over 10 years, having a certain foundation, which is why a single drop of myriad spirits heaven dew achieved foundation establishment. It was normal for Chu Zhenjin, who had only recently completed the heavenly longevity technique, not to break through foundation establishment. Chapter 989, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Another Foundation Establishment Elixir. Chapter 989, Chapter 353, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Another Foundation Establishment Elixir. After consoling his delicate wife, Lu Changxing then went to Lakeheart Island to begin alchemy. At the same time, within a closed-door cultivation chamber. The effect of this purple mansion elixir, Lu Chuanjin opened his eyes and let out a long breath, his eyes filled with shock. He knew that the bottle of purple mansion elixir his father gave him was extraordinary. But he hadn't expected its effect to be so astounding. If it weren't for his physical body and soul being different from ordinary people, along with the soul-nurturing jade, he would feel somewhat unable to withstand this medicine's power. However, under the scorching power of the purple mansion elixir, both his physical body and soul had significantly improved. Especially his divine sense. He found that his divine sense had almost doubled. Such an improvement could truly be called terrifying. He knew that the bottle of purple mansion elixir had a total of 10 pills, and he had only taken 1. Sigh, Lu Chuanjin thought of the dragon scale fruit, 5 elements fruit, and heaven replenishing elixir that his uncle had given him. Now that he had just made a breakthrough in foundation establishment, his father had given him such precious elixir medicines. He felt that his own efforts were simply nothing in front of these treasures. However, he was not an old-fashioned man and wouldn't feel like he was being wasteful or squandering heavenly resources. Instead, he would work even harder, to prove that he was worthy of these gifts and not let down his uncle and father's expectations. After his condition inside had more or less stabilized, Lu Chuanjin took another purple mansion elixir and began refinement. 1 month later. The simple and spacious alchemy room. Whoosh! Lu Changxing watched the Ziyundan furnace in front of him with focused concentration, his hands continuously performing gesture incantations to control the earth fire. Next to him, the clear and elegant Li Xingrua, wearing a light yellow dress, watched Lu Changxing refine pills, her eyes filled with intense focus. Even just observing the process of making foundation establishment elixirs was enormously helpful to her, and she gained a lot from it. Time ticked away, and it was unknown how long had passed. Li Xingrua saw the spiritual mechanism lingering within the pill furnace and threads of fragrant aroma wafting about. She immediately held her breath and focused, looking towards Lu Changxing. She saw Lu Changxing's hands continuously performing gesture incantations, sending one spell after another into the pill furnace, then he loudly declared, "Open." Buzz! Instantly, the lid of the furnace forcefully opened, a burst of heat surged forth, and a brilliant glow spread all around. How is the pill formation? Li Xingrua looked towards the pill furnace, her face showing a bit of nervousness. Although she knew Lu Changsheng's alchemy skills were high, being a second-tier top-level alchemist, for rare elixir medicines like Foundation Establishment elixirs, aside from the 4 great immortal sects, Danxia Mountain, or the alchemists seated in the 3 great immortal cities, hardly anyone could become familiar with the process. Collect. Lu Changsheng drew 3 Foundation Establishment elixirs from the mist of heat into his hand. Hee, not bad, this time there are 2 top-grade and 1 top-quality one. Looking at the 3 Foundation Establishment elixirs in his palm, shiny and full, moist and fragrant, Lu Changsheng said cheerfully. 3 pills formed, and what's more, 2 top-grade Foundation Establishment elixirs and 1 top-quality one. Li Xingrua, who was beside him, cried out in amazement, her clear beautiful eyes sparkling with admiration and adoration. As a second-order alchemist, she was well aware of how significant it was to have 3 pills formed, including 2 top-grade Foundation Establishment elixirs and 1 top-quality one. Perhaps even the alchemists of the 4 great immortal sects couldn't guarantee to refine Foundation Establishment elixirs to such an extent. Xingrua, keep this Foundation Establishment elixir for yourself, and focus on Foundation Establishment in the coming time, striving to make a breakthrough as soon as possible. Lu Changsheng handed a top-grade Foundation Establishment elixir to Li Xingrua. She had long had the cultivation level of 9th level energy refinement. But without a Foundation Establishment elixir, she did not dare attempt Foundation Establishment. After all, Foundation Establishment was a risky business. It wasn't a guaranteed success just because one had the elixir. Therefore, some people, even if they had the means, wouldn't take the risk. My husband, Li Xingrua was startled, filled with emotion. Although she guessed that Lu Changsheng would give her a Foundation Establishment elixir, she still couldn't quite believe it when she saw the pill before her. Keep it, no need to be courteous with your husband. Lu Changsheng smiled and then inquired if she had any confusion or misunderstanding about the alchemy process she had just observed. Previously, Lu Changsheng dared to split his focus and make talismans during the alchemy process, refining pills while guiding Li Xingrua. But Foundation Establishment elixir was difficult to refine, and he couldn't dare to distract himself too much, fearing that he would ruin the precious process. My husband, Li Xingrua promptly spoke up, expressing the doubts and questions she had while observing the alchemy process, which Lu Changsheng answered one by one. After resolving Li Xingruo's questions, Lu Changsheng went to the Lu family mansion to hand a Foundation Establishment elixir to Xia Zhiyue. He encouraged her to cultivate well in the coming time and establish her foundation as soon as possible. My husband, Xia Zhiyue looked at the Foundation Establishment elixir, feeling as if she were in a dream. It was known that her brother, with a 4th-grade spiritual root, was a Qingyun sect disciple who had already cultivated to the 9th level energy refinement. But for many years, he had been striving for a Foundation Establishment elixir. To this date, he hadn't even gathered enough contribution points for one. And she, having married Lu Changsheng as a concubine, had done nothing but bear 4 children for Lu Changsheng in these 30 years, aside from learning a textile skill to make vestment robes for the family's children, barely making any contributions. But now, Lu Changsheng was actually giving such an invaluable Foundation Establishment elixir to her, so she could attempt Foundation Establishment. Practice well and strive for an early Foundation Establishment. Lu Changsheng gently stroked her hair and spoke softly. His early years of affection for Xia Zhiyue were simply due to his desire for her body. But after so many years of being together, their feelings had deepened, and with 4 children, their bond had grown strong. Moreover, throughout the 30 years, except for the occasional allowance that Xia Zhiyue would send her brother, Xia Zhaoyang, there had been no other issues. And Xia Zhaoyang, this younger brother-in-law, was quite good too. He hadn't caused any trouble, and had even helped look after the Qingyun sect children. Lu Changsheng didn't mind these small acts. Chapter 990, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Another Foundation Establishment Elixir. _4 Chapter 990, Chapter 353, Switching Cultivation Technique, Refining Another Foundation Establishment Elixir. _4 Therefore, he had previously asked Lu Miaoyan to support Xia Zhiyue with 3,000 spirit stones and send them to her brother-in-law to help with his foundation establishment. "Thank you, husband." Xia Ziyu's eyes reddened with gratitude. Facing this situation, Lu Changxing naturally knew what to do and offered her consoling words, hoping to repay the kindness like a spring that never runs dry. Afterwards, they went to check on the condition of their children, especially their son Lu Xingchen. This son had a third-grade spirit root, but Lu Changxing did not let him test for the spiritual root, instead announcing it to be a fifth-grade spirit root. Because over the years, Bai Lake Mountain had developed by attracting many guest elders and apprentices. It was certain that among these people, some were spies from other family forces. Therefore, when it came to his children at home, he always tried to cover things up as much as possible to avoid drawing attention. Tisk, TSK, sell this ordinary foundation establishment elixir to Qingzhou Mountain. Lu Changxing looked at the top-grade foundation establishment elixir in his hand, planning to give this one to his son Lu Pingan, while selling the one he previously had to Qingzhou Mountain. After all, being a little biased as both a husband and a father is quite normal, isn't it? Beast-taming Su family. Within the resplendent Great Hall, Lu Qingshan, disciple of Tian Yuan true immortal of Jinyang sect, from Qingzhou Mountain, son of Lu Changxing from Bai Lake Mountain. An elder dressed in a purple and green brocade robe, tall and imposing, with a dignified face and the appearance of a young man with white hair, was looking at a piece of information in his hand. He looked at the middle-aged man below him and spoke with an imposing voice that didn't sound angry yet exuded authority. "Is this Lu Changxing from Bai Lake Mountain the same one who practiced a dual cultivation technique with his wife and suppressed Golden Dragon Ridge back then?" Reporting back to the family patriarch, "It is indeed him." The middle-aged man replied. "Interesting, not only does Lu Changxing have both a mix of luck and encounters, rising in just a few short decades to where he is now, but he also has sired such an exceptional Qilin child." The third ancestor of the Su family narrowed his eyes, sharp as ever. From the early events at Golden Dragon Ridge, he had taken notice of Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoga, adding them to his kill list. He had thought that if he ever encountered them, he would take the opportunity to eliminate them both. Unexpectedly, in investigating the issues concerning his family's Purple Shadow secret realm, he had inadvertently stumbled upon such news. This Lu Changxing from Bai Lake Mountain actually had such a brilliant and extraordinary son. According to the records, this Lu Qingshan could be regarded as a natural prodigy in the sword Dao, and as long as he did not meet an untimely death, it was very likely he would achieve core formation, being considered as a nascent soul seed of the Jinyang sect. This was astonishing. One must know, these family forces all faced a common issue. That would be the lack of a successor, an interruption in the line. And there, in the prime of their lives, Lu Changxing and his wife had produced such a proud child with the potential for core formation, it was like striking gold with their ancestral graves. If this Lu Qingshan truly became a nascent soul immortal in the future, then Bai Lake Mountain would likely rise completely, becoming a significant threat to their own family. However, even though he now knew this, there was nothing he could do at the moment. As a designated nascent soul seed of the Jinyang sect, the Su family naturally did not dare to provoke Lu Qingshan. And with Lu Qingshan around, even if he wanted to move against Bai Lake Mountain and kill Lu Changxing and his wife, he would now have to think twice. After all, if he were to move against Bai Lake Mountain and kill Lu Changxing and his wife now, it would be tantamount to creating an enmity with Lu Qingshan, inviting a formidable enemy. Apart from this Lu Qingshan, are there any other suspects from this trip to the Purple Shadow secret realm? The third ancestor of the Su family put aside the matters concerning Bai Lake Mountain and continued to inquire. Now, half a year had passed, and they still had not been able to identify which power was targeting them. Continuing like this, he wouldn't be able to explain himself to his ancestors. After all, for this matter, their family patriarch had even left seclusion, ready to fight back and recover their dignity. But now, they still couldn't find the culprits. Reporting back to the family patriarch, besides this Lu Qingshan, the rest are loose cultivators, and we simply can't find any information on these loose cultivators. The middle-aged man wore a wry smile on his face. The Purple Shadow secret realm had seen over 1,000 people enter, with hundreds coming out. Apart from disciples of the Immortal sects and clan cultivators, the majority were loose cultivators. It was impossible to investigate these people. Useless. The third ancestor of the Su family stood up, his tall frame like a majestic lion, imposing and authoritarian, his voice filled with pressing authority. Continue the investigation, we must have a result for this matter. Yes. The middle-aged man, knowing that it was highly unlikely to achieve a result, could only grit his teeth and accept the command. Chapter 991, 70 Spiritual Root Offspring, the Idea of Relocation. Chapter 991, Chapter 354, 70 Spiritual Root Offspring, the Idea of Relocation. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Lu Changxing had started practicing the yin-yang creation scripture, but because of the yin-yang energies, he didn't need to be in closed-door cultivation all the time. He even saved the daily sitting sessions. So on regular days, he would be alchemizing, drawing talismans, crafting puppets, and spending time with his wives and children. However, because the alchemist of the family, Li Xingrua, was in closed-door cultivation preparing for foundation establishment, he spent most of his time on alchemy. That day, Lu Changxing was engaged in alchemy, when suddenly a mysterious vibration accompanied by a system notification sounded. Ding! Congratulations to the host for having 70 spiritual root descendants, you've gained 1 lottery chance. Lu Changxing perked up upon hearing this notification. Not just because the system had given him some child money, but also because this child's spiritual root was quite extraordinary. It should be a top-grade spiritual root. System. Lu Changxing silently called out in his mind. Name, unnamed, lifespan, 1 of 77, talent, 3rd grade spiritual root, cultivation level, none, talent, dual cultivation, 40%, indeed, it's a 3rd grade spiritual root. A smile spread across Lu Changxing's face. As time went on, the speed at which he now had offspring gradually slowed, but in terms of the quality of his children, it was getting higher and higher. There were now 216 children. But among these 216 children, there were 70 spiritual root descendants. Such a ratio was astonishing. And among these 70 children, there were 2 with 1st grade spiritual roots, 1 with a 2nd grade spiritual root, and 2 with 3rd grade spiritual roots. Adding Lu Pingan, Lu Chuanjin, and Lu Caizhen, who had their roots enhanced postnatally, there were a total of 5 with 4th grade spiritual roots, 7 with 5th grade spiritual roots, and 12 with 6th grade spiritual roots. If you also counted Lu Qingshan's Gingjin body constitution, Lu Wangsha's blood talisman spiritual body, Nangong Yaoyao's flawless heavenly fragrance body, and Lu Lingxiao with Lu Ling's dragon roar physique, then this quality of offspring was enough to look down upon all the surrounding family forces. Even the false core family of Golden Dragon Ridge couldn't begin to compare with his Lu family. TSKS, truly worthy of me. Lu Changxing couldn't help but feel a wave of pride when he thought of these accomplishments. After all, these were the results of his hard work, bit by bit. In just 38 years, he not only completed the journey that took other families 100 years but also far exceeded these family forces. Like most family forces when they first rise, they need to consider the problem of lacking successors, but the Lu family had no such worries. Not only were there endless geniuses in the family, but the children were also starting to achieve foundation establishment. If I remember correctly, the mother of this child comes from the Tai Mulam Mo family, right? Lu Changxing pondered while looking at the system interface. He now had 64 concubines, so he couldn't remember all the details and pregnancy timelines of his concubines as clearly as in the early years. After finishing alchemy, Lu Changxing went to the Lu family mansion. When Lu Miaoyun saw Lu Changxing, she informed him of the birth of the newborn. A while ago, Lu Changxing had told Lu Miaoyun to inform him whenever there was a new child born in the family. If he was home, no matter what, he would make a visit. Seeing that it was a son, Lu Changxing nodded slightly. It wasn't about favoring boys over girls, but simply because this child was talented in dual cultivation. If it were a daughter, it would indeed be somewhat wasteful of her talent. After all, what father would want his daughter to follow the path of dual cultivation? System, lottery. After visiting the child, Lu Changxing silently called out in his heart and began the lottery. A pale red roulette wheel appeared, emitting a golden light as it spun rapidly. Moments later, the golden light slowed, stopping on Pet Beast. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a spiritual pet, Iron-Eating Beast. The reward has been sent to the system space. The host may check it at any time. A rounded and endearing little panda graphic, with distinct black and white fur, short arms and legs, emerged from the wheel, accompanied by a system notification sound. Iron-Eating Beast? Lu Changxing looked at the young pet beast, slightly stunned. Isn't this a panda? After acquiring so many formidable pet beasts, suddenly getting such an endearing pet, Lu Changxing felt somewhat unaccustomed. He sent a thought and looked at the specific details of the iron-eating beast in the system space. Spiritual pet, iron-eating beast, grade, heaven grade top quality, description, an ancient fierce beast variant, lazy and indolent by nature, it grows by consuming metal minerals, can reach its peak as a 4th-rank demon beast after 600 years. Good grief, a variant fierce beast. Lu Changxing looked at the description, not quite knowing what to say. He turned his attention to the iron-eating beast in the system space, trying to see where this beast was so ferocious. Extract. Instantly, a baby-sized, chubby, black and white panda appeared before him. The iron-eating beast looked sleepy, utterly bemused and adorably awkward, showing no signs of ferocity. Lu Changxing picked up the iron-eating beast, weighing it slightly and feeling its heft. The iron-eating beast immediately made kitten-like chirping sounds, its little limbs curling up into itself like a black and white fur ball, irresistibly beckoning a cuddle. Sure enough, as Lu Changxing cradled it in his arms and gently rubbed it, the black and white panda immediately made a pleasant sound and lightly rolled. You're telling me this is a variant fierce beast? Lu Changxing laughed, looking at its cute appearance, feeling that it had no connection with fierce or demon beasts. Though the black and white do suggest a bit of a yin-yang tai chi element, Lu Changxing mused, looking at the iron-eating beast and thinking of his own yin-yang creation scripture. But the idea of having such a spiritual pet seemed somewhat embarrassing to him. Never mind, I'll give it to Xiaohe. Lu Changxing thought for a moment and decided to give this iron-eating beast to his daughter Lu Lingyi as a pet beast. Chapter 992, 70 Spiritual Root Offspring, The Idea of Relocation. Chapter 992, Chapter 354, 70 Spiritual Root Offspring, The Idea of Relocation. But the next moment, he thought of his daughter and his son Lu Lingxiao, who were twins. Giving a gift to his daughter but not his son would seem to show too much favoritism on the part of this old father. I might as well give it to Pingan. If this iron-eating beast grows up, it should be quite ferocious. Lu Changxing stroked his chin. Although he couldn't see where the iron-eating beast was fierce, he still believed in its bloodline grade. However, Lu Pingan had now gone to White Tiger Mountain to take charge and was not at home. Moreover, he felt that the iron-eating beast wouldn't be of much use to Lu Pingan. After all, it would take decades for such a spiritual pet to grow and possess certain combat abilities. Forget it, I'll give it to Xiaohe. Lu Changxing took out a feeding spirit pill to feed the iron-eating beast, put it into the spirit beast bag, and decided to give it to his daughter, Lu Lingyi. As for his son Lu Lingxiao, he would wait and see if he could get him a different type of heavenly spiritual fire later. Zi Xiao, what do you think about giving this to Xiaohe as a pet? Lu Changxing found Ling Zixiao and took the round iron-eating beast out of the spiritual pet bag. What is this? Ling Zixiao, wearing an azure blue palace dress, dignified and elegant, looked over the black and white dumpling. She cultivated the 12 capital demon divine technique, and upon seeing this cute creature, she felt an inexplicable fierce aura emanating from it. This is a demon beast that hatched from an egg I obtained earlier, called the iron-eating beast. I was thinking of giving it to Xiaohe as a companion. Lu Changxing laughed as he spoke. Iron-eating beast? Ling Zixiao had never heard of this name. But she knew her intuition was not wrong, this iron-eating beast was very unusual. Lord, isn't this too valuable? Although Ling Zixiao was happy, she still felt it was a bit extravagant and wasteful to give such a spiritual beast to her daughter as a pet. If it were any less remarkable, it wouldn't be worthy of my daughter. I was just thinking about giving it to Xiaohe and not to Ling Xiao, which would make me seem biased as a father. Lu Changxing said with a smile. Ling Xiao would probably be more interested in puppets. We could give him a puppet. Ling Zixiao suggested, feeling that her daughter would surely like the round iron-eating beast. As for Ling Xiao, when he grows up and starts cultivating, he'll have other gifts for him. Lu Changxing said so. He had news that his son Lu Yun was collecting heavenly spiritual fires from outside. Because relying solely on system draws for heavenly spiritual fire was too random. Not to mention whether one could draw it at all, even if one did, the chances of being as lucky as before to find one compatible with Dragon Roar physique were not guaranteed. So, purchasing from outside, if lucky, he might get a decent heavenly spiritual fire. Thank you, husband. I'm sure Xiaohe will love it. Ling Zixiao said cheerfully. She knew that Lu Changxing was very fond of Lu Wangshu, having given her a mysterious turtle as a pet. Now that Lu Changxing was giving this iron-eating beast to their daughter Lu Lingyi, it was another sign of his affection for her. Soon, the two of them headed to the Lu family mansion to visit the children. The two little ones had their own courtyards, but most of the time, they still spent time with Bai Ling or in Lu Wangshu's yard. Call sister. At this time, inside the small courtyard, Lu Wangshu was holding the two little ones and said out loud. Sister. Lu Lingyi called out loud and obediently, while Lu Lingxiao did so perfunctorily. Say sister, I love you. Sister, I love you. Sister, I love you. Lu Lingxiao, your tone isn't sincere enough, do it again, and give sister a smile. Just arriving outside the courtyard, Lu Changxing heard this noise and was somewhat speechless. Immediately, he said, it seems Wangshu gets along very well with Ling Xiao and Xiaohe. Ling Zixiao nodded and didn't say anything else. She didn't feel that her child was being bullied. She simply thought her daughter didn't seem very bright. If this continued, would she be easily deceived and bullied when she grew up? Dad, Auntie. Lu Wangshu saw Lu Changxing and Ling Zixiao and immediately put down the two little ones she was holding, calling out with a face of well-behaved gentleness. Daddy, Mommy. The two little ones cried out. Hee. Lu Changxing looked at the scene and couldn't help but laugh. He approached to chat with his children and inquire about their well-being. Then, he took out a puppet and the iron-eating beast to give to Lu Lingxiao and Lu Lingyi, respectively. Daddy, what's this? Lu Wangshu saw the iron-eating beast and was immediately attracted by its docile appearance, her eyes glistening as she spoke. Goodness, I forgot this daughter likes everything. Lu Changxing thought to himself. Then he said with a smile, this is called the iron-eating beast. It's a spiritual beast I obtained, and I found it quite cute, so I thought of giving it to Xiaohe as a pet. Do you like it? I'm so grown up already, how could I like this thing? Lu Wangshu said, lifting her delicate chin. Although she liked it, with her auntie nearby, she didn't have the heart to snatch her sister's pet. Besides, she and Xiaohe were sisterly and shared everything, they naturally shared good things. Xiaohe, do you like this? Ling Zixiao turned to her daughter Lu Lingyi. Lu Lingyi didn't speak but reached out her chubby little hand to poke the round ball that was the iron-eating beast. The black and white panda immediately curled up into a ball and rolled around on the ground. Seeing this, Lu Lingyi moved in to poke it again, and the iron-eating beast rolled over once more. Ya. Lu Lingyi suddenly got interested and played gleefully with the black and white panda. However, after rolling around for a while, the iron-eating beast got tired, panting with an exhausted and lazy look, lying still and not rolling anymore. Daddy, Mommy, it stopped moving. Lu Lingyi said so, trying to pick up the iron-eating beast. But even though her strength was much greater than that of the average toddler, she couldn't lift the iron-eating beast. Chapter 993, 70 Spiritual Root Descendants, The Idea of Relocation. Chapter 993, Chapter 354, 70 spiritual root descendants, the idea of relocation. Lu Changxing collapsed to the ground with a plop, breathless and gasping. The sight made Ling Zixiao hold his forehead and sigh deeply. Wang Shu, take good care of this iron-eating beast regularly. Lu Changxing had realized that if his daughter, Lu Lingyi, were to take care of it, she might likely neglect the iron-eating beast to death. Dad, the name iron-eating beast sounds so unpleasant. Is there another name? Lu Wangshu asked. No, you name it, Lu Changxing said offhandedly. Well, since it rolls around so much, let's call it Roll. Lu Wangshu pondered for a moment before looking at her younger sister, Xiaohe, with a crisp voice. How about it, Xiaohe, do you think the name sister picked sounds good? It sounds great. Lu Lingyi nodded repeatedly, echoing her sister's enthusiasm. After spending so much time with Lu Wangshu, she had already taken on the role of a little follower. Although Ling Zixiao felt the name was not very fitting for such a spiritual beast, since the children liked it, he said nothing and only instructed them to take good care of the iron-eating beast. 3 months later, Lu Changxing received a message from Li Xingrua that she was ready to attempt the foundation establishment. Upon hearing this news, Lu Changxing pondered briefly and decided to take Li Xingrua to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven for her breakthrough. On one hand, even with the formation concealing it, undergoing a breakthrough at Bai Lake Mountain could still cause quite a disturbance. On the other hand, having lived at Bai Lake Mountain for many years as a second-order alchemist, with both parents deceased and only a younger sister remaining, Li Xingrua was trustworthy. Moreover, as his concubine now officially recorded in the family registry, she also had a layer of protection. Lu Changxing arrived at Li Xingruo's courtyard and noticed light only in the bedroom. She's resting so early. He chuckled lightly, guessing her thoughts. A major event like the foundation establishment could inevitably cause some anxiety. They could commence a dual cultivation to help her relax slightly. He walked towards the bedroom and pushed the door open. Inside, Li Xingrua lay on the bed, her black hair spread out, covered with a light blanket, her cheeks slightly flushed. Xingrua. Lu Changxing started to untie his magical robe but immediately sensed something was off. Using his divine sense, he saw that besides Li Xingrua, there was another body under the blanket, devoid of any clothing, skin as white as jade, slightly trembling. Husband. Li Xingrua called out to Lu Changxing. Brother-in-law. At that moment, the blanket was lifted, and Li Xingyu, her face red as a beet, covered her face and shyly called out. Her body wasn't as tall and graceful as her sister Li Xingruo's, but from top to bottom, it exuded a thick fragrance of youth. Sigh. Lu Changxing sighed internally, clearly understanding the sister's intentions. Looking at Li Xingyu, he softly said, Xingyu, is this truly what you want? Lu someone, although not a perfect virtuous gentleman, would naturally not take advantage of two sisters so alone and helpless. If they genuinely wished for it, he, Lu someone, was naturally willing to offer these pitiful sisters a warm home. I am willing. Li Xingyu, covering her flushed cheeks, said in a trembling voice. Then she added, please cherish me, brother-in-law. Hearing this, Lu Changxing naturally could no longer play the virtuous gentleman. After all, things had progressed this far, what more could he do? Brother-in-law. Not long after, the young girl lay there with her delicate neck arched back, her soft tongue slightly sticking out, breathing rapidly, her beautiful jade feet tightly clenched, toes curled up like pearls. Her sister Li Xingrua was comforting her. Afterward. Big sister, brother-in-law, can we always be together? Li Xingyu, drenched in sweet sweat, weakly nestled in Lu Changxing's arms, whispered. Yes. Lu Changxing and Li Xingrua gently stroked the young girl, responding warmly. As it was her first experience, it wasn't long before the young girl fell into a deep sleep. Xingrua, I'm sorry you had to go through this. Seeing this, Lu Changxing, holding Li Xingruo's hand, spoke softly. Xingyu has long admired her husband. Li Xingrua rested her forehead on Lu Changxing's shoulders and whispered. Although it was she who had asked her sister about it, she did so knowing her sister's feelings, thus revealing the matter. Of course, she had her reasons for doing this. Thinking about the possibility of failing her foundation establishment and facing accidents, she knew her sister would have someone to take care of her. Moreover, her sister was unlikely to leave by Lake Mountain in the future. Being able to marry Lu Changxing was already a great fortune, a good settlement, and possibly even an opportunity for foundation establishment in the future. Lu Changxing, with his arm around Li Xingguo's fair shoulder, chatted with her about the sister's past and matters concerning foundation establishment. Because of Li Xingguo's situation, Li Xingguo's foundation establishment was delayed for half a month. Half a month later, Lu Changxing took Li Xingrua to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven for her to peacefully proceed with her foundation establishment. As he was worried about Li Xingguo's foundation establishment, he stayed near the cave mansion to monitor the situation throughout. Time passed bit by bit. After 10 days of preparation, Li Xingrua began her foundation establishment. By now, Lu Changxing was extremely familiar with foundation establishment. By observing every move of Li Xingrua through his divine sense, he could tell her progress and situation during the foundation establishment. Xingrua is only in her 40s, in her prime. Having taken the 3 Suns elixir and with no internal injuries, her foundation in the magic barrier is rather solid. She practices an exquisite level cultivation technique, and possesses a 5th grade spiritual root, so there shouldn't be much issue. As for the final mental spirit, although she lacks various hardships, she experienced the vicissitudes of ordinary life early on when both parents passed away. She has been taking care of her sister and living in the marketplace by herself, so her mental temperament is not bad, and because she has been alcheming for a long period and is a second-order alchemist, her control over mental spirit and spiritual power exceeds most cultivators. Thus overall, her chances of successful foundation establishment are quite high. Lu Changxing quietly observed Li Xingrua in front of him, internally concluding. Under Lu Changxing's watchful eye, Li Xingrua slowly passed the 3 trials of foundation establishment, began to gather mana, and lifted the Dao platform. Half a month later, Li Xingrua finally managed to break through the foundation establishment, albeit with some difficulty. Xingrua, congratulations on your successful foundation establishment. Lu Changxing stepped forward, touched Li Xingguo's hair tenderly, and congratulated her with a smile. It's all thanks to your top-grade foundation establishment elixir. Otherwise, Li Xingrua, still immersed in her breakthrough process, responded with a slightly hoarse voice. She was well aware that she had nearly failed just moments ago. Had she taken an ordinary foundation establishment elixir without such efficacy to coordinate the 3 trials and transform the spiritual energy, she feared she would have failed the foundation establishment. This made her look at Lu Changxing with eyes full of tender affection. Hee, you just broke through, so stabilize your cultivation realm well. Lu Changxing spoke softly, then walked out of the cave mansion. He wasn't just there to watch her breakthrough for gaining favor. He was mainly concerned about the possibility of her failing the foundation establishment. If there were any problems or accidents during the process, he could still lend a hand with secret techniques and yin-yang energies. Now I can start moving some of the family industries to White Tiger Mountain. Lu Changxing walked out of Changxing Hall, looked at the spiritual medicines in the medicine garden, and murmured to himself. Considering the increase in the number of family members who had achieved foundation establishment, he planned to move the family's puppet workshop, wine brewing workshop, and talisman workshop to White Tiger Mountain. It would be sufficient to retain some core operations at By Lake Mountain. Due to the large intake of apprentices and the recruitment of guest elders in earlier years, By Lake Mountain now found it hard to accommodate more people and establish new workshops. However, although White Tiger Mountain had not been completely idle over the years, it was considered a waste of resources as it hadn't been fully utilized. Immediately, Lu Changxing left Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, found his son Lu Yun, and relayed the plans about moving to White Tiger Mountain for him to draft a plan. Moving the 3 workshops to White Tiger Mountain. Lu Yun, upon hearing this, wasn't surprised. He had thought of this when White Tiger Mountain was first conquered. One reason was that the family owned by Lake Mountain was now somewhat overcrowded. On the other hand, the mineral resources surrounding White Tiger Mountain were much richer than those nearby Lake Mountain. If the puppet workshop were to be built on White Tiger Mountain, it could also save a step in transportation costs. The only issue was that moving the workshops there would require a foundation establishment great cultivator to supervise. Over the years, no foundation cultivator had been stationing at White Tiger Mountain. It had solely relied on the fame of Bai Lake Mountain, as well as the nearby Taiwood Forest and Creek Mountain, to deter others. If the workshops were moved there and faced danger, it would be a heavy blow to the Liu family. This was because, over the years, the Liu family had invested a lot in nurturing these apprentices. In a few years your elder brother will break through to foundation establishment, and with him supervising White Tiger Mountain, you don't need to worry about safety. Discuss with Xianji and the others to finalize the details. Identify any issues that might arise during the move. Lu Changxing spoke thus. My elder brother breaking through to foundation establishment. Lu Yun was aware that Lu Chuanjun had recently made a breakthrough to foundation establishment. He hadn't expected that his own elder brother Lu Pingan would soon make a breakthrough as well. Surprised and astonished, he felt a wave of excitement. With this progress, which neighboring family forces could stop their rise? Yes, father. Lu Yun responded respectfully, then immediately went to confirm the relocation matters with the 3 workshop managers. Chapter 994, Contract with Six-Winged Golden Silkworm, Lu Qingshan breaks through. Chapter 994, Chapter 355, Contract with Six-Winged Golden Silkworm, Lu Qingshan breaks through. By Lake Mountain. The weather was clear and the day was beautiful. Lu Changxing was sunbathing with 2 babies, chatting with his concubines, when he suddenly heard the news that his son, Lu Chuanjun, had emerged from closed-door cultivation. This son had been in secluded cultivation for almost a year. Upon hearing this news, he immediately asked Lu Chuanjun to come and see him. Son pays respects to father. Lu Chuanjun came forward and immediately bowed. After nearly a year of secluded cultivation, he had undergone significant changes. His mana was now contained within him, his features clear-cut, his demeanor refined, his black eyes long and narrow, deep and impenetrable like a secluded pool. It seems you have gained much during this time. Lu Changxing eyed his son and spoke. Thanks to the purple mansion elixir given by father. Lu Chuanjun said so. Because of the purple mansion elixir, his divine sense had improved to 150 zhang, comparable to a foundation establishment late stage. And his physical body had also seen significant improvements. This greatly aided him in understanding the follow-up cultivation techniques of the 5 elements Kunpeng technique. He, come with me. Lu Changxing chuckled lightly and stood up to speak. With the purple mansion elixir enhancing his divine sense, he now had a better chance of taming the 6-winged golden silkworm. He found his wife, Lu Miaoyun, and took the ancient beast taming charm. Then he called inside to Hong Lian. Swish. The ancient beast taming charm emitted diffusing light, and a golden silkworm, about 5 inches long with a pair of thin wings, appeared. This silkworm, as if disturbed from its sleep, was immediately exuding a fierce and murderous aura. What is this? Upon seeing the 6-winged golden silkworm, Lu Quanzhen's pupils constricted, sensing a dangerous aura from it. This silkworm is called the 6-winged golden silkworm, an ancient rare insect species, extremely ferocious, not fearing any divine skills or techniques, and once it grows its 6 wings, it can even devour a nascent soul true lord. Of course, this 6-winged golden silkworm is still in its larval stage, only at the 2nd-order initial stage, nowhere near that level yet. But unexpectedly, it can still pose a threat to a foundation establishment late-stage cultivator. Holding the 6-winged golden silkworm in his palm, Lu Changxing slowly said. 6-winged golden silkworm, not fearing any divine skills or techniques, and once it grows its 6 wings, it can devour a nascent soul true lord. Lu Chuanjun was aghast at the sight of the 6-winged golden silkworm. No wonder it gave him a sense of danger. He estimated that if he fought with this 6-winged golden silkworm, he wouldn't be its match. This 6-winged golden silkworm is a gift I am giving you. But this insect is ferocious and brutal, with low intelligence, and difficult to tame. You will need to subdue it yourself. Lu Changxing told Lu Chuanjun. Though he could assist, it was still necessary for Lu Chuanjun to earn the 6-winged golden silkworm's recognition. Father, isn't this too precious? Although Lu Chuanjun was very tempted, he still politely spoke. After all, he had just received a bottle of the incredibly precious purple mansion elixir not long ago. Now, having just emerged from seclusion, to be given such a rare spiritual insect, it truly overwhelmed him. But he couldn't deny that his father indeed possessed many fine items. When you are out and about, the more methods you have, the more at ease both I and your mother can be. Lu Changxing spoke warmly. Thank you, father. Lu Chuanjun was no longer polite, bowed, and asked how he should proceed, how to tame this six-winged golden silkworm. Take note of this secret technique. Lu Changxing threw a technique jade slip to Lu Chuanjun. It was a beast-taming method he had obtained from Hong Lian. Lu Chuanjun looked at the jade slip, and a moment later, exclaimed in surprise, the blood-pact method. There are many contracting methods for taming beast. Among them, the blood-pact method is the most domineering. Not only is it difficult to undo, once the pact is formed, if the master dies, the spiritual beast also perishes. However, the blood pact method also has its advantages. Like ordinary contracts, unless the spiritual beast is raised from birth, fostering affection, if both parties are of equivalent strength, there's a high probability of failure. Even if the contract succeeds, it's not very stable. It might even happen that the spiritual beast breaks through, and under immense demonic power, shatters the contract. This is why most cultivators, when contracting spiritual beasts, either bond with younglings or beasts weaker than themselves. Because for beasts of the same realm or those of higher lineage grade, trying to tame them through ordinary means is very challenging. And the blood pact method not only increases the probability of successful contract but also deepens the bond with the spiritual beast's demonic soul with each breakthrough, strengthening the bond between person and pet. Correct, the six-winged golden silkworm has low intelligence, and ordinary contracts would hardly resonate with you. So, the blood pact method is the best choice. Lu Changxing explained. With creatures like the six-winged golden silkworm, if contracted ordinarily, not only are they difficult to tame, but even if bonded, they are also prone to backlash. Thank you, father. Lu Chuanjun gratefully spoke, knowing that with such a contract, this six-winged golden silkworm was now completely tied to him. Then, Lu Chuanjun followed the blood pact method, forcefully sliced his finger, and smeared his essence blood on the six-winged golden silkworm. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Instantly, the ferocity of the six-winged golden silkworm was provoked, its thin wings like flying daggers, its eyes flashing a bloodthirsty crimson light. Had it not been for Lu Changxing suppressing it with his consciousness, the six-winged golden silkworm would have already attacked Lu Chuanjun. Hong Lian. Lu Changxing spoke to Hong Lian. The ancient beast-taming charm then circulated shimmering light, and symbols and runes like birds and beasts appeared, buzzing and exuding a barbaric aura, then transforming into various birds and beasts flying toward the six-winged golden silkworm and Lu Chuanjun, vividly brought to life. Is this the beastly ancient talisman? Chapter 995, Contract with Six-Winged Golden Silkworm, Lu Qingshan Breaks Through. Chapter 995, Chapter 355, Contract with Six-Winged Golden Silkworm, Lu Qingshan Breaks Through. Although Lu Chuanjun did not recognize the meaning of the ancient talismanic script, he had heard of this kind of script. Rumors had it that such scripts were a manifestation of the laws of heaven and earth. Some also said it was the bone script of the demon race. Because it is recorded in books that some powerful demon beasts, upon reaching a certain level of growth, would awaken their bone scripts and receive the inheritance of their bloodline memories. Regardless, this sort of ancient talismanic script was something that only those at the core formation and nascent soul levels could possibly come into contact with. Now his father was using such mysterious and unpredictable ancient script to help him contract a spiritual beast. Chuanjun. Lu Changxing called out to his son, signaling him to carry out the blood covenant seriously. Lu Chuanjun immediately held his breath and concentrated, tracing each mysterious rune onto the six-winged golden silkworm with his own essence blood. As the essence blood formed runes, it burst forth with a mysterious power and entered the body of the six-winged golden silkworm. Then, Lu Chuanjun felt a ferocious and terrifying magic aura rush toward his sea of consciousness. However, within his sea of consciousness, there immediately appeared a bird ready to spread its wings and fly, suppressing the impact of this consciousness. It was none other than the beastly ancient talisman formed by the ancient beast taming charm. Lu Qiuanzhen knew that he needed to suppress the consciousness of the six-winged golden silkworm and make it submit. His consciousness immediately transformed into a peng bird and struck at the consciousness of the six-winged golden silkworm. At the same time, his fingers continued to trace the runes of the blood covenant, allowing his essence blood to continue entering the six-winged golden silkworm. Lu Changxing watched quietly, waiting for the outcome. With the ancient beast taming charms help to defend the sea of consciousness and suppress the six-winged golden silkworm, if his son still couldn't contract this spiritual insect, then as a father, he would be helpless. Time ticked by slowly. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying aura of mana erupted from within Lu Qiuanzhen, causing his robes to flutter with a whistling sound. Behind him, an endless ocean appeared, with a giant egg interwoven with black and gold colors bobbing up and down, accompanied by faint sightings of great fish and divine birds, roaring and howling, veiled and obscure, captivating and terrifying. Quanzhen's cultivation technique is no simple matter. Lu Changsheng's eyes narrowed slightly. He knew that the technique his son practiced had been taught to him by his own uncle, whom he had never met, and was a demonic cultivation technique. However, he was not clear on the specifics of this technique and had never asked his son. Seeing the aura released by Lu Qiuanzhen now, with yin and yang and the five elements rotating as if to refine all things, terrifying and domineering, he realized that this technique was far from simple. Screech! Behind Lu Qiuanzhen, the phantom giant egg seemed to transform into a golden peng bird soaring into the sky, screeching sharply, its might fierce as it attacked the six-winged golden silkworm and then swallowed it. Roar, roar, roar. The six-winged golden silkworm roared and its body shone with golden light, exuding a ferocious and bloodthirsty aura, resisting Lu Qiuanzhen. But under the suppression of Lu Changsheng and the ancient beast taming charm, and as the struggle continued, the aura of the six-winged golden silkworm gradually weakened. After an indeterminate amount of time, an invisible qi formed between Lu Qiuanzhen and the six-winged golden silkworm, establishing some kind of connection. At this moment, although the six-winged golden silkworm still exuded an aura of brutality and slaughter, it was no longer so unruly. Not bad. Lu Changxing nodded slightly, knowing that his son had successfully completed the contract with the six-winged golden silkworm. Phew. Lu Qiuanzhen opened his eyes, exhaled a long breath, looking pale and tired, having expended a great deal. Looking at the six-winged golden silkworm before him, he felt a subtle connection with it. He extended his palm toward the six-winged golden silkworm. Instantly, the six-winged golden silkworm came to rest on Lu Quanzhen's palm, softly roaring, doing its utmost to suppress its bloodthirsty aura. Thank you, father. Lu Qiuanzhen bowed deeply to Lu Changxing. Through the process of contracting, he became deeply aware of the terror of the six-winged golden silkworm. If it weren't for his father and the help of the ancient script, even if he could have suppressed the six-winged golden silkworm, he would not have been able to make it submit. Now with the six-winged golden silkworm as his spiritual beast, it would be a great aid on his future path of cultivation. If you like this gift, that's good. By the way, this six-winged golden silkworm mainly feeds on blood. Lu Changxing waved his hand and continued to inform Lu Qiuanzhen about some of the care the six-winged golden silkworm needed. I like it very much and will certainly not let down father's high hopes. Lu Qiuanzhen said, taking note of everything. Then he indicated that he planned to venture out and travel after some time. You can make decisions about these things on your own. If there's anything you need, just tell the family directly. Lu Changxing spoke like this. Lu Quanzhen's intention to travel had already been mentioned to him. Thus, after his son had been in closed-door cultivation for so long, he guessed that the other party was preparing to travel. I'm almost ready. Lu Quanzhen's heart warmed, and a smile appeared on his face. Have you thought about where you want to travel to? Lu Changxing asked casually. I plan to visit Azure Phoenix Immortal City first, and then I might go to Jin Kingdom for experience. Lu Qiuanzhen said this. Jin Kingdom. Lu Changsheng's eyebrows furrowed slightly upon hearing this word. Jin Kingdom, although adjacent to Jiang country, was under demonic sects. And hearing Jin Kingdom, he could not help but think of his daughter, Nangong Yaoyao, who was far away in Jin Kingdom. As well as his wife Nangong Mili, and his future wife Meng Xiaochan. Why do you want to visit Jin Kingdom? Lu Changxing inquired. I want to see what the demonic cultivation world is like, and since my cultivation technique is a demonic cultivation technique, there might be suitable opportunities for me in Jin Kingdom. Lu Chuanjin spoke plainly. His intention to visit Jin Kingdom was influenced by his uncle Chu Chang'e. He wanted to see the rumored state of demonic sects and whether they were as described in the books. Chapter 996, Contracting the Six-Winged Golden Silkworm, Lu Qingshan Breakthrough. Chapter 996, Chapter 355, Contracting the Six-Winged Golden Silkworm, Lu Qingshan Breakthrough. Lu Changxing was silent for a moment, then sighed. If you are going to Jin Kingdom, you must be very careful. He knew that persuasion was not very effective in such matters. Moreover, since his son had already achieved foundation establishment, he, as a father, did not want to interfere too much and let them make their own choices. Father, rest assured, your child will be careful. Lu Chuanjin said respectfully. Lu Changxing originally wanted to say that if he encountered any danger or trouble, he could seek help from the Five Poisons cult. But thinking that Nangong Mili, if she heard his name, Lu Chuanjin being his son, it might be like sending a sheep into a tiger's mouth. Then he changed the subject and asked, is there any confusion in your cultivation? Father, these days when I was comprehending the subsequent cultivation techniques, Lu Chuanjin immediately expressed some of his doubts about cultivation. Yin-Yang 5 Elements Kunpeng Technique? Lu Changxing listened to his son's concern about the technique, his eyebrows slightly raised, then he explained and resolved his confusion. Although he hadn't studied this particular technique. But he, Lu Mountain Lord, possessed 2 true immortal level techniques and several orthodox level cultivation techniques. Even if he was dull, with so many techniques as a foundation, he could easily answer such minor questions from Lu Chuanjin. Even because of the Yin-Yang creation scripture, he could offer Lu Chuanjin some guidance and inspiration from a higher perspective on the way of Yin and Yang. Sure enough, after hearing his father's advice, Lu Chuanjin had many insights and even gained a deeper understanding of the Yin-Yang 5 Elements Kunpeng technique on his own. Thank you, father. Lu Chuanjin bowed to Lu Changxing, thinking to himself that he truly was his father. Without even knowing his own cultivation technique details, he could provide such profound insights. Could his father actually be some reincarnated nascent soul true lord or even a divinity transformation esteemed being? Was he a second-generation immortal? Yet his treatment indeed seemed somewhat like that of a second-generation immortal. If you have any confusion about cultivation in the future, just come and ask me. Lu Changxing, unaware of his son's thoughts, chuckled lightly. This kind of mentoring made him, a father, feel quite accomplished. After all, he could put so many techniques to use. Perhaps relying on his own understanding of techniques, his son could carve out his own path from the original techniques. Your child understands. Lu Chuanjin replied respectfully. By the way, father, previously in the Purple Shadow secret realm, at that moment, Lu Chuanjin thought of something, concerning his elder brother Lu Pingan and Qin Yi. He had then realized that his elder brother had some unspeakable difficulties and was not at ease meeting Qin Yi. Now seeing the formidable foundation of his own family, and just the tip of the iceberg of his father's capabilities, he somewhat guessed it might be related to his elder brother's talents. However, such matters not being discussed at home, he would not ask further, but thought it necessary to at least mention his brother's situation to his father. After all, his elder brother's temperament would definitely not let him tell their father, preferring to keep it in his heart and forever regretting in the end. This young lady does have quite the character. Lu Changxing, hearing this, showed a slightly amused expression on his face. However, hearing that the young lady took such an initiative and his son had no reaction made him shake his head involuntarily, somewhat vexed at his son's passivity. If he had been proactive, perhaps they would already have children. Chuanjin, you are considerate. I will talk with Pingan about this matter later. Lu Changxing said to his son, planning to have a chat with Lu Pingan later. However, he also felt that his son was weighed down with too much responsibility and might not be able to overcome this hurdle, probably not leading to much in their discussion. Perhaps, let Wang Shu send a few letters to the Heavenly Sword sect in Pingan's name, that way Pingan won't be able to back out later. Lu Changxing stroked his chin, thinking to himself. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, more than 3 months had gone by. As Li Xingrua broke through to Foundation establishment and gained divine sense, her progress in alchemy was incredibly fast, and she was expected to soon advance to a second-rank middle-grade alchemist. Faced with this situation, Lu Changxing felt that the alchemy room at home was somewhat small. He hired people to upgrade the alchemy room, preparing to install 5 earth fire furnaces inside. This way, he could work on multiple elixir medicines simultaneously with Li Xingrua. Since Li Xingrua had broken through to Foundation establishment, Lu Changxing had been taking special care of her during these days and nights. However, since both were Foundation establishment cultivators, conceiving a child was relatively difficult, so they had not yet had a child. It was just recently that Zhao Qingqing came to stay at Bai Lake Mountain, and today she sent a letter saying she was pregnant, which made Lu Changxing quite happy. Previously, when his son Lu Chuanjin broke through to Foundation establishment, he acquired a spiritual body inheritance rate bloodline effect. Since both he and Zhao Qingqing possessed a spiritual body, perhaps there was hope for a child with a spiritual body. Immediately, Lu Changxing planned to visit Zhao Qingqing at Qingyun sect in a few days. Boom! Just then, Lu Changxing suddenly felt a surge of dense mana enter his body, transforming into droplets of liquid mana in the Qi ocean core. Buzz, buzz, buzz. In an instant, as this liquid mana consolidated, Lu Changxing felt his realm was on the verge of breaking through, advancing to the 8th level of foundation building. Is this Lu Qingshan breaking through to foundation building? Lu Changxing immediately guessed that it was his son, Lu Qingshan, who had broken through, far away in Yu country's Jianghu sect. After all, calculating the time, 2 years had passed since the Purple Shadow secret realm, and with Lu Qingshan's situation, he should have broken through to foundation building by now. He guessed this breakthrough was likely due to travel delays or a consolidation of cultivation level. Name, Lu Qingshan, lifespan, 27 of 238, talent, 6th grade spiritual root, Dingjin body constitution, medium grade spirit body, cultivation level, foundation building 1st layer, talent, sword Dao compatibility, 91%, Tisk, TSK, worthy of being my son, Lu Changxing. Lu Changxing looked at the system panel before him, a smile appearing on his face. Both his age and his talent in Sword Dao were incredibly impressive. Speaking of which, is Sword Dao compatibility at 100% the maximum value? Lu Changxing wondered silently. He didn't look further, closed the attribute panel, and went to his cave mansion to prepare for his breakthrough. Instantly, without his suppression, the liquid mana in the Qi ocean core explosively expanded, breaking through forcefully. In that moment, without needing any external potent spiritual pressure, the liquid mana in the Qi ocean core reached its limit, directly resulting in a successful breakthrough for Lu Changxing to the 8th layer of foundation building. Finally, the 8th layer of foundation building, just one more layer to the 9th. Lu Changxing quietly sensed the changes following his breakthrough. Feeling the pace of his progress, he might reach the 9th layer of foundation building relying on his children, even before he completely mastered the Yin-Yang creation scripture. However, Pingan should be close to breaking through foundation building as well, right? Lu Changxing thought to himself and then continued to meditate to stabilize the newly advanced mana. After half a month of closed-door cultivation, Lu Changxing exited the Mount Summer cave heaven, came to the Lu family mansion, and immediately heard some shocking news that shook the Jianghu country cultivation realm. The core formation old ancestor from the beast-taming Su family, one of Jianghu country's 3 great clans, left seclusion and approached the 5 Elements royal family, smashing their clan gate with a single slap. Chapter 997, 5 Elements royal family, 3rd order puppet. Chapter 997, Chapter 356, 5 Elements royal family, 3rd order puppet. The core formation old ancestor of the Su family has shattered the mountain gate of the 5 Elements royal family? Lu Changxing was shocked when he heard this news. This was definitely a major event. It must be understood that in the cultivation world, every power valued face. Just like him with Golden Dragon Ridge. What seemed like a small matter, a conflict with the great elder of the Jin family. But in the eyes of the Jin family and others, it was as if Golden Dragon Ridge's face had been slapped, and they must regain their standing. The reason the Jin family hadn't made a move against Bihu Lake Mountain was simply due to inadequate strength. If the Jin family produced another false core immortal and had enough strength, they would certainly attack Bihu Lake Mountain immediately. And shattering someone else's mountain gate was even more severe. It was outright face-slapping, trampling the opponent's family underfoot. The beast-taming Su family and the Five Elements royal family were both nascent soul-level powers, standing tall in Jianghu country for 1,000 years, their might astonishing, considered behemoths, with few daring to provoke them. Now that the elder ancestor of the Su family had actually shattered the mountain gate of the Wang family, it definitely qualified as a major event. Rumor has it that all disciples of the beast-taming Su family died in the Purple Shadow secret realm, and their false core patriarch was killed on the way back. This has enraged the beast-taming Su family, and the core formation old ancestor has emerged from seclusion. After investigation, the beast-taming Su family declared that the Five Elements royal family was behind this, so the Su family's patriarch personally went to demand an explanation. Lu Miaoyun poured tea for Lu Changsheng as she spoke. Because of the incident in the Purple Shadow secret realm? Lu Changsheng was momentarily stunned upon hearing this. Others might not understand what was going on, but he was well aware. In total, the beast-taming Su family had 10 disciples, besides one who met with an accident and died. The other 9 were killed by his own 2 sons. And the Su family's false core patriarch was killed by him. How could the beast-taming Su family blame this on the Five Elements royal family? Well, there's also a rumor that the beast-taming Su family couldn't determine who was responsible, so they used this to leverage authority over the Five Elements royal family. Lu Miaoyun continued. Using the Five Elements royal family to establish authority? The beast-taming Su family seems a bit overbearing, don't they? Lu Changsheng frowned slightly, feeling it unreasonable. Even if the Five Elements royal family wasn't as deeply rooted as the beast-taming Su family, they were still a nascent soul-level power with a nascent soul immortal in charge. Facing such huge disgrace as having their mountain gate destroyed, how could they swallow this insult? If the Wang family couldn't regain their standing, for the next decades or even a century, others would remember that the Wang family had their mountain gate shattered by the beast-taming Su family. Hence, to establish authority, they wouldn't stop at nothing with the Wang family, which seemed unreasonable to Lu Changsheng. There must be other reasons. Could it be possible that the Su family really believes the Wang family killed their false core patriarch? Lu Changsheng thought to himself. Husband, do you remember the beast tide from 15 years ago? Lu Miaoyun spoke softly. Of course, I remember. Lu Changsheng sipped his tea and nodded. That year's demon beast tide was a once-in-hundreds-of-years event. Not only was the spirit-taming sect severely damaged, losing 2 nascent soul immortals and a third-order demon beast, but the Azure Phoenix Immortal City was also nearly breached. And the Xiahou Wua he had killed had also participated in that demon beast tide, so he remembered it very clearly. There were rumors before that the elder ancestor of the Su family was seriously injured during the beast tide, his condition unknown. There were also rumors that bad news concerning the Su family was circulating. This incident in the Purple Shadow secret realm was seen by the Su family as targeted and probing by other powers, hence the Su family had to respond strongly. However, opinions on this matter are divided, and there even were rumors pointing fingers at the 4 great immortal sects, but the Su family couldn't possibly confront the 4 great immortal sects to lay accusations, so after choosing from equal-level powers, they targeted the weakest among them, the Wang family. Lu Miaoyun came behind Lu Changsheng, massaging his shoulders as she spoke. The matter between the Su family and the Wang family had been causing quite a stir recently. And she, knowing of her husband's affair with Su Ruyan, thus sought to learn more about this incident. Good heavens, this can also be seen as a serendipitous mistake. Lu Changsheng was somewhat speechless, not expecting his casually executed actions to make the Su family suspect the 4 great immortal sects. But upon reflection, it made sense. Aside from the four great immortal sects, what other force had the capability to target the Su family? He continued to inquire, then what is the Wang family's attitude in this matter? Rumor has it that when the elder ancestor of the Su family went to the Five Elements royal family this time, not only did he bring his third-order spirit beast, the Earth Dragon beast, but also a third-rank Xian turtle and 800 fire crow Dao soldiers. Ancestor Wang of the Wang family can only counterbalance the elder ancestor of the Su family by depending on the family's great formation. If Ancestor Wang were to leave the family great formation, he could possibly be suppressed by the elder ancestor of the Su family, so the Wang family can only swallow this silent loss, causing the reputation of the beast-taming Su family to surge remarkably. On Lu Miao's ethereal face, there was full of emotion. Even though she knew her own family had already far surpassed many surrounding family forces. But hearing of the formidable strength of the beast-taming Su family still sent a shiver through her heart. 2 third-order spirit beasts, and Dao soldiers only bred by top-tier powers. Such a lineup could normally far surpass a nascent soul immortal. Wow, this lineup really is luxurious. With this, it seems the Wang family is completely blocked by the elder ancestor of the Su family. Hearing this, Lu Changxing also couldn't help but be moved. He thought to himself that the beast-taming Su family really was strong and overbearing. A nascent soul immortal, equipped with 2 third-order demon beasts and 800 Dao soldiers, was likely unmatched in the core formation realm. And the fact that the elder ancestor of the Su family dared such an expedition probably meant there were unknown third-order spirit beasts guarding their home. Otherwise, under normal circumstances, they wouldn't take such a risk. It seems the Five Elements royal family really is in decline. If they can't bring forth a leader to turn the tide, I'm afraid it will be difficult for the Five Elements royal family to maintain their reputation. Chapter 998, Five Elements Royal Family, Third Order Puppet. Chapter 998, Chapter 356, Five Elements Royal Family, Third Order Puppet. Lu Changxing sipped his tea, reflecting aloud. As far as he knew, the Five Elements royal family was a nascent soul force that had risen to power in the last 1,000 years. Initially a small energy refining family, their ancestors' tomb miraculously emitted a golden light, and the family produced a peerless genius with the Five Elements physique. It was this individual's meteoric rise that transformed the previously obscure Wang family into a nascent soul noble family. The words, Five Elements, in the Five Elements royal family were derived from the Daoist title of the family's patriarch. But with the passing of this patriarch, the once flourishing Five Elements royal family began to decline. After all, not every family had the foundation of beasts like the beast-taming Su family, with third-rank demon beasts, Dao soldiers, and so on. The Five Elements royal family had risen too quickly. It was all supported by a single patriarch. And the patriarch's cultivation techniques, heritage magical treasures and so on, could only unleash their full potential in the hands of someone with the Five Elements physique. Considering how rare the Five Elements physique was, it was highly unlikely that the Wang family would be fortunate enough to produce another such talent. Therefore, after the patriarch's passing, although the Wang family still had nascent soul immortals in its ranks, there was no one who could hold the family together. They could only rely on their ancestors' legacy and slowly deplete it, maintaining the status quo, which led the family down a path of continual decline. Now, the dealings between the beast-taming Su family and the Five Elements royal family made Lu Changxing feel that the Wang family was indeed no longer viable. Otherwise, they would not have allowed the elder ancestor of the Su family to block their door and shatter their sex gates without any substantial family heritage or techniques at their disposal. If the Five Elements royal family could not produce a figure who could restore its former glory within 100 years, it was feared that it might fall from the ranks of the great clans after another 100 years. After hearing about the affairs between the beast-taming Su family and the Five Elements royal family, Lu Changxing asked Lu Miaoyun to pay more attention to news of this sort when she had free time. If something happened to these top-tier families, it might affect his own family, so he wanted to be kept informed. Lu Changxing then went to check on his concubine, Xia Zhiyue, about her progress in foundation establishment and asked his son, Lu Yun, about the family business relocation plans. Lu Yun told Lu Changxing that the family business had already planned the relocation and could move to White Tiger Mountain at any time. After pondering for a moment, Lu Changxing instructed Lu Xianji to establish a puppet subsidiary on White Tiger Mountain to conduct a pilot test. If there were no issues, they would start the full relocation after Lu Pingan had made his foundation establishment breakthrough. Yes, father, Lu Yun nodded in response. Lu Changxing continued to inquire about the family, particularly about his children. It was possible that due to situations like Li Feiyu's, many of his children were inclined to leave home and seek their fortunes through trials and tribulations. For example, their daughter, Lu Rui, after the White Tiger Mountain events, had resigned from her position, fully devoted herself to cultivation, and after breaking through to the 7th level of energy refinement, she also applied to go out and seek her own path. Sigh. Hearing what Lu Yun had said, Lu Changxing let out a sigh of relief and said, Yuner, as for the resources for the family's cultivation, you may consider increasing them slightly according to the situation. Also, you can let the family members know that the family currently has a way to obtain foundation establishment elixirs, and as soon as they can refine their energy to the peak, they can apply for a foundation establishment elixir. Lu Changxing said so. Previously, the family had always provided encouragement in terms of procreation. As for cultivation, the family benefits were good, but the incentives were moderate. Now that the family was not lacking foundation establishment elixirs, Lu Changxing felt that they could provide more incentive in this area. As long as his children were ambitious enough, even with a lower-grade spiritual root, he was willing to give them foundation establishment elixirs to attempt foundation establishment. A channel for foundation establishment elixirs. Lu Yun was shocked to hear this. After Lu Changxing had him deliver a foundation establishment elixir to Jianghu Mountain, he guessed that his father must still have more. He never realized his father actually had a channel for foundation establishment elixirs within the family. Father, I think such information should not be announced to the family. If word gets out, it might cause trouble. If there are brothers or sisters who break through to the late stage of energy refinement, I will speak to them about this matter. What do you think? Lu Yun said so. That's fine, you can arrange as you see fit, Lu Changxing nodded. He seldom interfered in family affairs. He only occasionally provided a direction on major matters, leaving the specifics to his children to handle. After chatting with his son, Lu Yun, Lu Changxing went to visit his other children. After inquiring about their well-being, Lu Changxing let Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaoyun know, and then he went to Qingyun's sect to visit Zhao Qingqing. Now upon arriving at Qingyun's sect, for some reason, Lu Changxing felt somewhat apprehensive in his heart. He was afraid of walking around Qingyun's sect with Zhao Qingqing and running into Xiao Xi's master, Kaiyun True Immortal. After seeing Zhao Qingqing, Lu Changxing could tell that she was indeed carrying the breath of life in her belly, and he was overjoyed. He stayed at Qingyun's sect with Zhao Qingqing for half a month. After leaving Qingyun's sect, Lu Changxing thought he should visit Xiao Xia at the Luoyun mountain range. Sigh, these are just a few who are away. If I had wives and Dao companions spread across the 5 lakes and 4 seas, I'm afraid I'd be too busy to manage. Lu Changxing couldn't help but lament. He planned to go home and, at that time, bring his daughter Lu Wangshu with him. Although this daughter was like a third wheel, affecting his own practice of the sun-moon samsara technique with Xiao Xia, the mother and daughter had always been apart more than together, and he still hoped that they could spend more time together. Congratulations to the host for the birth of 300 descendants, you have earned 1 lottery draw. When Lu Changxing had just returned to Bihu Lake Mountain, a system prompt sounded in his mind. 300 already? A hint of emotion appeared in Lu Changxing's eyes. Back when there were 200 members in the younger generation, the number of his own children also happened to be 200. But now his own children numbered only 218, while the grandchildren had reached 300. As time went on, this number would become increasingly divergent. After all, he had been most prolific in creating children during the first 20 years. It was also these children who mostly consisted of mortals. At that moment, Lu Changxing suddenly remembered that he seemed to have not visited the Rui County Lu family in quite some time. Sigh. Lu Changxing sighed, and directly returned to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. The environment within the cave heaven was incredibly beautiful at that time. Due to the fact that Lu Changxing and Lu Miaoge rarely cultivated, only Ling Zixiao and Bai Ling's practice consumed spiritual energy, causing spiritual mist to linger around the spirit spring, like a fairyland on earth. Beside the medicine garden were 2 log cabins, but Lu Pingan spent most of his time stationed on White Tiger Mountain. Lu Chuanjin had already gone out and left Bihu Lake Mountain some time ago. System, lottery draw. Lu Changsheng looked at the medicine garden, which showed no change in appearance, and silently thought. Immediately, the lottery wheel appeared, and the golden light spun. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a third-order puppet. The reward has been issued to the system space. The host can check it at any time. A third-order puppet? Upon hearing this, Lu Changsheng's eyebrows raised. He was naturally more than familiar with puppets. Not only had he crafted many second-rank puppets himself, but the main profit of the family also came from puppets. However, the highest-grade puppet he had been in contact with up to now was only a second-order superior. Since high-tier puppet materials were scarce and hard to find, and the production was very troublesome and time-consuming, he had so far crafted only one second-order superior puppet. With regard to third-order puppets, even Lu Changsheng had only heard of them and had not come into contact with one. Puppet masters were not as popular as formations, pills, talismans, or artifacts. Whether the Jianghu country cultivation realm even had a third-order puppet master was another matter. It is said that some third-order puppets can act like Daoist soldiers, executing certain orders without the need for full control by divine sense. I wonder if the system-made puppets are this kind of top-grade puppet. Full of anticipation, Lu Changsheng looked towards the system space. Puppet, 1,000 Faces Puppet Fox, Grade, 3rd Order, Description. The heartwork of the puppet spirit sex Qianji True Immortal, a puppet designed after the 1,000 Faces Demon Fox. Furthermore, the soul of his wife was infused into it, granting the puppet simple cognitive thinking and maximizing its effectiveness and abilities. The introduction of the puppet in front of him startled Lu Changsheng. Although he expected high-tier puppets would certainly be extraordinary, and the products from the system were usually impressive, this was truly, somewhat weird, wasn't it? Creating a puppet modeled after the 1,000 Faces Demon Fox was understandable to Lu Changsheng. Most puppets do take the form of demon beasts. For instance, using the complete skeleton of a demon beast to craft a puppet would generally attempt to replicate the original form of the demon beast, optimizing the puppet's combat capability and functional efficiency. But what was this about infusing his wife's soul into it? Was such a high price really necessary to give a puppet a certain level of simple consciousness and thought? Retrieve. Lu Changsheng was indeed curious to see what was so impressive about this third-order puppet. Chapter 999, 1,000 Faces Puppet Fox, Challenging Azure Phoenix Immortal. Chapter 999, Chapter 357, 1,000 Faces Puppet Fox, Challenging Azure Phoenix Immortal. In an instant, a beautiful woman with silver white hair and fox-like charm, appearing to be in her mid-30s, materialized before Lu Changsheng. Master. This beautiful woman, with a complexion like peach blossoms and cheeks flushed red, gave Lu Changsheng a graceful bow with her enchanting, misty eyes. 1,000 Faces Puppet Fox, Lu Changsheng, looking at the beautiful woman before him, showed a hint of surprise in his eyes. It was too realistic. Had he not known that the beautiful woman was a puppet, he would have thought she was real. Her seductively charming face was pale with a captivating blush. Her alluring eyes were incredibly expressive. Her silver white hair cascaded down to her waist, and atop her head were a pair of sharp, snowy white fox ears, about 6 inches long. Her figure was tall and exquisite, exuding a wild charm. She wore a blue dress and was draped in a luxurious, delicate snowy white fur cape. Beneath the hem of her dress and cape, 2 long, straight legs were adorned with white and blue gradient lace stockings, and she stood in a pair of tall wooden clogs. A snowy white fox tail twisted and coiled behind her, likely over 2 meters long. The appearance, voice, essence, and even the skin of the 1,000 Faces Puppet Fox before him nearly achieved a level of deception that blurred the lines between fake and real. Lu Changsheng couldn't help but marvel. It was a creation by a nascent soul immortal, who had even sacrificed his wife's soul into the puppet. It was extraordinary. After retrieving the 1,000 Faces Puppet Fox from the system space, Lu Changsheng gained a detailed understanding of this puppet. Thousand Faces Puppet Fox, a third-rank middle-grade puppet. It excelled in illusion techniques, charm, and transformation. As to why the Azure Phoenix Immortal would instill his wife's soul into this puppet, Lu Changxing understood too. The puppet spirit sect possessed a secret puppet technique called Spirit Infusion Technique. It involved refining the soul of a human or demon and infusing it into a puppet. This grants the puppet a certain degree of sentience and consciousness for easier training, management, and control. The higher the grade of the infused soul, the greater the puppet's consciousness, intelligence, learning capability, and combat strength among other aspects. Thus, the Azure Phoenix Immortal, to perfect this puppet, had refined his beloved wife's soul and infused it into this Thousand Faces puppet fox. TSK, is this what a true puppet master is like? It's rather twisted. Lu Changxing found this behavior incomprehensible and was profoundly shocked. However, considering rumors that some artifact refiners, in order to create their ultimate artifact, would sacrifice themselves, he guessed it was the same principle. But your wife benefits me now, Lu Changxing mused internally. He then asked the Thousand Faces puppet fox before him, "What is your name?" According to the system, this puppet had a basic level of consciousness and cognitive ability, capable of undertaking many tasks. Of course, if Lu Changxing wished, he could also control this puppet directly using the puppet control technique. However, for puppets with infused spirits and consciousness like this one, direct control was likely less effective than letting the puppet's consciousness take charge. Responding to the master, this servant's name is Su Rongrong. The Thousand Faces puppet fox said softly with a seductive smile. All right, henceforth I'll call you Su Rongrong. Lu Changxing replied casually, not particularly concerned with the name. He then extended his hand and caressed the puppet's plump, fair skin, squeezing it a couple of times. The feel and temperature of her skin were similar to that of a human, almost identical. Only when squeezed firmly could he feel a slight difference. But to Lu Changxing, this craftsmanship was already the pinnacle of perfection. Try using an illusion technique on me. Lu Changxing said, curious to see this puppet's capability in illusion combat. Yes, master. The Thousand Faces puppet fox giggled behind her hand, her seductive eyes spinning webs of enchantment, making Lu Changxing's spirit waver as if he were surrounded by warm and soft jade. Countless stunning beauties, dressed in sheer garments, slid off their robes to dance around him, performing dances that stirred the soul, emitting entrancing, intoxicating melodies. Even though Lu Changxing was prepared, aware of being subjected to an illusion, the scene before his eyes, the heady sweet fragrance in his nose, and the smooth softness of enticing bodies still instinctively made him want to relax his mind and wholeheartedly savor the experience. Buzz. At that moment, the jade pendant at Lu Changxing's waist and the pendant around his neck vibrated with a humming sound, seemingly to remind him that this was an illusion, a divine consciousness secret technique. However, these spiritual artifacts were limited in effect and stood little chance against such a powerful nascent soul divine consciousness secret technique. No good. Lu Changxing realized the huge gap. This level of illusion technique couldn't be resisted merely with willpower. It was absolutely a crushing blow from a higher realm of divine consciousness. Although he was experienced and strong-willed in the matter of romance, and his divine consciousness far surpassed that of fellow cultivators at the same level, nearly equivalent to false core, yet facing the nascent soul-level divine consciousness secret technique of the Thousand Faces puppet fox, he was still found wanting. But just as he was about to stop the illusion, a burst of light from the Lu family genealogy inside him cleared his mind. Does the genealogy also have such an effect? Lu Changxing was taken aback, just then realizing this effect of his family genealogy. Previously, the system had only introduced 3 functions of the genealogy and had not mentioned this effect. This is indeed a pleasant surprise. Joy surged through Lu Changxing's heart, and he told Su Rongrong to stop the illusion technique. Buzz. The scene before him instantly shattered. Given this illusion technique, probably even a typical nascent soul immortal would be affected. Lu Changxing nodded silently, then continued to the Su Rongrong before him, change into another appearance for me to see, just transform into my likeness. Yes, master. Instantly, the thousand faces puppet fox's body shifted with a flow of mana, slowly transforming to look exactly like Lu Changxing. TSK, this transformation technique is really something special.